right, good evening to everyone. 6:42. We are reconvening our open session at this time. We will go right into our mission statement for our meeting tonight. We're waiting for our technology department to get our mission statement ready for us, and we will read our mission statement together. Everyone is ready. Can we read our mission statement together? The mission of Weldon City School District is to create and maintain a highly effective educational system in which every student receives the highest quality education. School employees and parents work together to prepare students to become caring, competent, and responsible citizens who value education as a lifelong process. Thank you so much. At this time, I would ask board members, if you would, please review your agenda. There anything that we need to add to our agenda? Let us go to number 10, add 10C. That we would go back into closed session. We'll add closed session on our agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to have two things added, please.
Yes, sir.
One would be meeting place, meeting place, and the other would be an awning cover.
Awning. Cover. Okay. All right. Let's put,
thank you.
yes, sir. Let's go 10, no, not 10, excuse me, 9A. Meeting place. And if we can put 9B, awning cover.
This is on the 8th.
9A is meeting place, and 9B awning cover. Okay, under the consent agenda, we pull off completely number 5. That'll be for not tonight, but discussion whenever we do our retreat. Say something. Many board members have said something about a retreat, so maybe we can talk about that briefly tonight. I'll say 9C, board retreat. And we can hopefully decide a date on that tonight.
And can I add one, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to add SROs.
Okay, so we'll say 9D. SRO.
Give a report on that.
Okay,
I like to, from the consent agenda, I like to pull the athletic quotes for discussion. We need to discuss it and move forward.
okay. Can I ask a question? Do you mind if it stays there, but before we do the consent agenda, just discuss?
Sure, sure. As long as it's discussed.
Okay, so we'll just say 9 will be discussion. All right, and we need, go ahead.
I would like to also talk about the system that was supposed to be put on the buses.
Where's the bus app?
Where's the bus app? I would like that also included.
Okay, can we go to 9E?
Excuse me.
Yes, Ms. Kitty.
I have awning cover as 9B.
I said E, like.
Oh,
even.
E. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
And under number 5, we need to add Dr. Isaac Miller for presentation at that time.
okay. 9A. Dr. Miller,
That's from
5.
what did I say?
9.
I did say that time. Thank you. 5A, Dr. Miller. Okay. And one other thing under the consent agenda, 11, number 11 under the consent agenda, you have 10, and then under B, you have everything listed. Want to have 11 under that, a field trip.
Under what in?
Under 10B,
TV,
you have all of the items listed that's on the consent.
and all of them shouldn't be under there, because all of them are contracts with exceptional children.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying consent agenda in that respect. Number 11, field trip. We need to have a discussion about that. That came in, Dr. Williams told me today, for RVET.
We will be able to discuss it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, for discussion.
Okay.
Yes.
Also, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
1,
go ahead.
2, 3, and 4 under the consent agenda needs to be discussed as well. Contracts for exceptional children.
How about we do this?
Hmm.
Let's make it all discussion.
Absolutely.
Let's just make it all discussion. Under consent agenda action, can we just say with discussion? Since we have so many of them, I think that'll be the easiest way to solve it. Yes. Consent agenda with discussion.
So just for clarity, Chair Sykes, the board intends to have discussion on all the consent items, but to vote them on
Yes,
consent.
yes.
But just talk about them first.
Right.
But not to vote separately or pull them off.
No, right.
Well, I think that will depend on what's in the discussion, because it may need to be pulled.
But number 5 is pulled until we can have a retreat or something.
From 5.
Under-
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Under consent, I got you.
Right. All right, let me go back over this. 5A, we're adding Dr. Miller for a brief presentation. Under 9, after the HCC Board of Trustees appointment, 9A, meeting place, 9B, awning cover, 9C, board retreat, 9D, SROs, 9E, like even, where's the bus app? Under the consent, the policy 6420, pulling all together. We're going to discuss the items in consent agenda. We're adding field trip, and 10C, we would go back into closed session. Is that correct?
Yes.
Everybody have that? All right. At this time, a motion would be in order to approve our open session agenda as it has been amended.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda with the amendments, as it has been amended.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Bird Robinson and seconded by Ms. Hale that we approve our regular board meeting agenda tonight as it has been amended, and the amendments have been stated. You heard that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, would you let it be known by a voice vote? O.D. Sykes, aye. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Bird Robinson?
Aye.
Ms. Hale?
Aye.
Ms. Harrison,
Yes.
Ms. K. Robinson,
Aye.
and Ms. Jenkins. All right, let the record reflect unanimous approval on approving our agenda for tonight. At this time, for our minutes from our sessions, open sessions. Does anyone have any comment or question on our minutes?
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. K. Robinson and seconded by Ms. Hale that we approve our open session minutes. You've heard that motion. Is there any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, would you let it be known by your voice vote? Ms. Harrison,
Yes.
Ms. K. Robinson,
Aye.
O.D. Sykes, aye. Mrs. Jenkins,
Aye.
Ms. Hale,
Aye.
Mrs. Bird Robinson,
Aye.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
All right, let the record reflect unanimous approval by the 7 board members present for our meeting. All right, we are going into number 5 with recognitions, and we will ask if Mr. Stevens will come at this time.
Good evening, members of the board, chair,
Evening.
vice chair, Mr. Superintendent, colleagues, and Weldon community. Let me introduce myself. My name is Seth Stevens. I am the new communications director and director for community engagement for Weldon City Schools. I am happy and proud to be here. Thank the board for your approval in allowing me to serve. There's no greater calling than to serve others, I believe. Also, I just want to comment on the very short time that I've been here. This has been one of the most welcoming communities and work environments anyone could ever ask for. Folks here have treated me like family since day one, and that is a good feeling. And I will say this, it's just not within the walls of the schools as well. It's also in the community. I've had a chance to go out and talk to some folks, and everyone has something positive they'd like to share. And that's really heartwarming to feel like that's that connectedness and that family feel. So thank you again to the board, and thank you to the community as well. And I look forward to serving you to the utmost. So tonight we do have a special recognition. This recognition involves the community and the school system and the board as well. From my understanding, before I got here, Vice Chair Bird Robinson was instrumental in getting this to happen, which was having our students receive sports physicals over the summer from Dr. Isaac Miller's donated time and expertise in helping our students get prepared for the year. I'd like to invite Mr. Futrell, Athletic Director, Coach Lynch, school nurse is not here, but if you would like to come up, and members of the board, and Dr. Miller, of course, for this presentation, to Dr. Miller for his gracious time and effort. If you'd like to. Coach Lynch. And for Dr. Miller, please accept this on behalf of our graciousness for your work to provide for our students here in Weldon City Schools. I don't know if people want to get into that. Yeah, just one second. If you want to step maybe in front of the camera so the community can see the work. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
May I just make one comment? I'd like to, I haven't submitted my letter yet, but I'd like to make this donation to the athletic department for the benefit of all the athletes that are planning to participate.
All right, thank you.
So,
Mr. Lynch?
I guess I need to present to the board. So I'd like to redirect this amount to the athletic.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller.
We
Thank you so
certainly
much.
appreciate you for doing this. You've been doing this a long time. You did this for me back in 2008. So it's been a long time that you have been doing this with schools. So we certainly appreciate it. And I'm sure Mr. Lynch and Mr. Futrell will say that we certainly hope that you'll come back next year.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Dr. Miller, you have something else to share with us, or was that it? That was it? Okay, all right. Well, we took care of 2 in 1. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right.
Good night. Good night.
All right, we'll move right into number 6 with our reports.
Good evening, Board Chair, Vice Chair,
Good evening.
board members, and all in attendance. Just want to share with you just a brief update of Superintendent's report on this week. We opened school on Monday, as we all know, and opening day went well. We visited each of our schools on Monday and visited schools throughout the week since school opened. Everything was going so very smoothly. We saw students smiling and excited to be here. We saw teachers excited to share and teach. Administration was very exciting as I went from school to school. It was just like a new bubbling piece of excitement bursting throughout all of the schools where we visited. And it was just extremely wonderful to be a part of it. I would like to say as far as our attendance, of the first 3 days of our attendance this year was greater than our first 3 days that we had last year this time to date. And so we are on the right pathway moving forward with attendance as it pertains to our child nutrition percentages, the percentages of our students of eating lunch and breakfast, that's also up of those who are attending school. So we are feeding them, we're getting them there safely, we're getting them back home safely. We're educating the children. So it's very exciting to be here in this place in this time at such a season as this, if I may say. Currently, we have about 6 vacancies, teaching vacancies. For those that are hard to fill, we have 2 of our principals are utilizing Elevate K-12 that we utilize during the summer to fill those positions. And so those individuals, those schools will be dealing with that and paying for that out of their Title I funds. So it's no federal funds or not federal, it's no local funds being utilized for those. It's coming from their respective Title I funds for that, those positions. And I'm pretty much, that's it for me. I just want to give you a brief overview of where we are and where we're going. And again, the excitement has just been really, really positive everywhere I've gone. And I'm sure if any of you have been to the schools, you've seen and heard the same excitement that I have. And I just want to thank you all for this opportunity.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
My report today is not really a report. It is a comment to Weldon City School District family. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We're glad to have our students, our staff, our building administrators, our teachers, our cafeteria workers, our custodians, our bus drivers, everybody that make Weldon City Schools what it is. Welcome back. We're glad that we are off to a wonderful start for our 2022-2023 school year. And we are charging into this school year with excellence, and we're looking for wonderful, wonderful strides to be made during our school year. Thank you in advance for what you are going to do for our students and our Weldon City Schools District. All right, we'll move right on with our instructional report. You doing
And
that?
the instructional report is in your packet for
Okay.
your preview.
All right.
Dr. Carpenter. Dr. Carpenter is not proof to be with us this evening, but we do have an instructional report such as this in your packet that you will preview.
All right.
And if there's anything specific, we have Ms. Robinson who can address that. If there's anything that we need to, if any questions, Ms. Robinson is here to respond on behalf of Dr. Carpenter.
Do we have any questions, comments? Board members?
Testing calendar.
Ms. Robinson, can you come forward? And I see the calendar is in your packet as well, but
The testing calendar,
it's, well, it's the.
the regular school calendar.
Doesn't matter.
So testing calendar.
Okay.
I don't think we have.
It's a little bit small.
Yes, right.
It says testing update, testing calendar.
I'm gonna go and email to us, school calendar. A big one.
Okay.
And then also the CD calendar is attached also, so email both of those.
So what,
Is it you can attach both the testing and PD? I think you can.
Right, so if you can send the,
this paper too.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
That all just wanted, a larger calendar for your viewing, or for our viewing. I'll just say that. It is kind of small.
Yeah.
so I don't know if I have questions.
I think you said, Ms. Robinson, you have a professional development.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send the both.
Okay, all right.
And the school calendar as well.
Yeah, the CD calendar.
That's not included. Thank you.
All right.
That ain't good.
See, that was easy, Ms. Robinson.
Does that include like CTE and all that stuff? Yeah.
With CTE and all of that, is that included? Is that gonna come under the instructional report, or do we have a separate thing for CTE?
CTE. I just have a little update on one of the second page that has an update with the CTE. Ms. Davis is not here, of course, but.
Ms.
Anything
Ms. Davis,
else?
yes, she's here.
Oh, yes, Ms. Davis.
Updates, not updates.
Come to the-
We'll be here next month to present the students.
You will repeat that at the mic, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I didn't have any CTE updates up there for this month. My person is gonna be here on next month to present the students that served in the clean energy program. So she'll be here to give their apprenticeship certificates.
Where are we with the sewing machines? Because we've been talking about these for about 2 years.
Okay, so with the sewing machines, they were actually invoiced. I went to Walmart on yesterday to pick up 5 of the sewing machines, but they only had one of the requested ones in stock, so I have to check back, but everything has been done with the sewing machines. We're just waiting for them to come.
So they can't be ordered.
No. Because of the vendor that we're using, which is Walmart, so we have to go in the store to get the sewing machines.
Are they available in any other partnering Walmarts?
Well, she checked the Walmart in Rocky Mount, and they didn't have any on hand, so she told me to check back once the truck came last night. So I have to give her a call to make sure we can see if they're there.
And check Southfield.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
And Nashville.
Because we want our students to have those.
But they have been invoiced and everything, so we just waiting to get them.
Thank
And it's gonna be 5, so. Any other questions?
Don't have it. Mr. Williams, you have any questions?
All right, thank you.
He's still with us? Okay. All right, we're moving on then to operations.
No questions, Mr. Sykes.
All right, thank you, sir. Operations, student services, exceptional children, I think was, okay, be fair. Okay.
Do you have a copy of this?
Yes, should.
What did you present right now? Something.
Yeah, I'm presenting, student services.
No, we don't have. it. Thank you.
So, board chair, board members, Dr. Williams, superintendent, I bring you some updates from student services this evening. First, just to give you an update on the school safety grant. I think the last time I was before you all, I spoke to you about I will be attending the state safety conference, which was the RISE conference, to learn more about the school safety grants for this year, upcoming. The school safety grant actually opened on August 5th, which was the last day of the conference. And they gave us 25 days to say, hey, upload your grants by August the 30th. But we didn't feel like that was too much of a challenge. We have been doing many things to make sure that we are prepared to submit that grant successfully. One, just kind of doing some assessments with staff members across the district to determine what needs are. As you know, this grant does help to secure equipment for schools. And that might be something that we are enhancing this year as we at least submit requests within this grant. Also, primarily, you may know this grant as helping to fund our school resource officers. The way the legislation is written, I was actually surprised to know this because I've worked in schools many years and never knew that the legislation for this school safety grant is actually to support elementary and middle school SROs. And then there's a special allotment that the state is making sure we do also have for high school. And so I think with us at least having lots of inquiry and wanting to make sure that our students are protected with an SRO and our families and staff feel safe at all grade levels, that we are going to make sure that that is submitted as part of our grant this school year. I have met with our SRO, Deputy Vaughn, to start the works of what we call our school safety assessment, which becomes part of our SRO grant, which makes it, of course, more data that we provide to speak to our needs. Is always going to be more to our advantage when it comes to that evaluation. So we're looking to get that for that submission as well. And then also Superintendent Dr. Williams organized a meeting with our local sheriff and sheriff's leadership department. And so we just met yesterday to talk about our the grant and also our partnership and how we're strengthening that to make sure that our community stakeholders are benefiting from that. So that's just some of the work that's happening with the school safety grant. And we are submitting, we hope to get it actually submitted early, and we'll get some eyes on it more than just mine before we submit it, because I do believe that's going to help strengthen. I think also Ms. Robertson brought that up in one of our committee meetings to kind of help strengthen grants, and want to kind of lean towards that best practice. So that is kind of a wrap up of the school safety grant. Any questions about that particular piece?
Any questions?
I don't know if my question should come now or later, because I did ask to add SROs onto our agenda.
Okay.
And then we're talking about it. But currently, how many SROs do we have in our district?
So right now we have 2 SRO positions in our district. We do have one, as an update from our sheriff this week, we have 1 vacancy. And so we do have 2 positions currently allotted and budgeted. With that previous grant cycle, with this grant cycle, we are certainly pushing to make sure we have 3 positions.
So that one that we do have, he's located where?
So the one that we do have was our middle school. It was previously our middle school SRO who was reassigned to the high school.
So we don't have any presence. And that's why I'm asking about it, because I was at the middle school today. And schools being without an SRO is it's not a good look. We need somebody there.
Absolutely. So I agree. And so I spoke to everyone. We know that it's hard to be, well, for one person to be in 2 places, but we do want to make sure that that presence is still happening through just kind of some more random walkthroughs, not a specific time, because people get used to times, right? But more random periodic walkthroughs, so there is presence. But also, I don't know if Dr. Williams want to speak to kind of what we talked about, how we can help increase recruitment for SROs and with the help of some of our funding for the safety grant.
All right. Well, thank you. One of the concerns that the sheriff has that, and we've talked about, Chairman Sykes and I have had that discussion, that their concern is that Weldon City is, what we currently pay is less than what the county is paying for their SROs. And so the sheriff wants everything to be equal across the board, and we are in agreement with that because we need them. And what happens is that deputies will look at who's paying the least, and that'll be the place they don't want to go, because after all, they're in it not only to protect and defend, but they're in it to make a living as well. So we're looking at them sending us the contract from the county. So then we could look at how we can mirror that. We'll get it to our attorney Ramey, so he can look at how we can mirror what that is with salaries. So we can kind of be attracting individuals to come. Right now, they said they really don't have enough SROs or deputies to share across the county. That's part of the problem. But we are working toward seeing how we can make that happen. And part of that is to make sure that we're paying the same thing the county is paying, so that we won't be at a deficit of people not wanting to come to work with us versus the county.
Well, I know some time ago we did talk about, especially after the incident that happened in Texas, about metal detectors and things of that nature for students to have to come through to help with safety at the schools. Where are we with that?
I know that's a part of the grant that Mr. Petrell is working
Yeah,
on.
so equipment is covered as part of that grant. So that would be an item that we can certainly look to, but our school safety assessment is gonna
include that.
It's gonna include some things that we don't have, right? And so we're gonna find out what our communication systems look like. When we need to go on lockdown, how do we form that across school immediately? And we're gonna, in this school, that school safety assessment is gonna lift those types of gaps, or if those are gaps. I don't want, if we say that's what it is, but if those are gaps, whatever type of things we have, we're gonna close them with, the purpose of the grants help close those gaps to make our students safe.
I don't have any other questions.
So SEL and professional learning had the great honor of having to introduce and further expose our teachers this year and administrators during the retreat to several sessions around social and emotional learning. I will say that having the opportunity to spend that much time with teachers and administrators in professional learning focused on social and emotional is definitely something that Weldon City should be very proud of. Just how we have been able to build professional learning time that's always can be a challenge. And so I was very pleased to be able to talk about that and share and expose content with social emotional learning, especially as we prepare to go through our first round of assessments in the fall with a universal screener, which I'll move kind of with MTSS because that universal screener is attached to our MTSS practices. So in order for us to know through the tiered model of universal protocols and tier 2 interventions and more intensive interventions, we must know where students are to begin with. And so an SEL universal screener helps us understand the well-being of those students. And so that will be a new assessment, and it will likely see that on the assessment calendar because we want to start making sure that it's things like that are new. And so you want to kind of build it within protocols and practices that already exist so that it doesn't feel like one more thing, but it is kind of a already built into procedures that we have in place. We are grateful for the board making sure that funds were positioned for a MTSS coordinator so that we can help provide support to school teams in developing their MTSS teams. We have already started with the district level implementation. Before we can have strong school level MTSS teams, we must have strong district level, a strong district MTSS teams. And so working with our coordinator, Ms. Plum, we have identified our district team and also our first meeting date where we will be going through what we call our FAMD, which is our facilitated assessment of multi-tiered systems of support for district level. And that will kind of, again, launch us, give us some data around where we are on a rubric to be fully implementing MTSS within the district so that we can support schools. The WIOA grant, last time we were here, I know we spoke about how significantly cut the budget was for this year. I did get an update through Turning Point that there was some carryover funds from the region to help support in-school youth programs. And you know, Weldon City is really the only in-school youth program in the region. And so there was significant amount of carryover monies left, and we will have an opportunity to request additional funds to support programming in that area. And so I think that was even mentioned, I think Mr. Williams had spoke about that opportunity just from his experiences, and that certainly looks like it'll be the case this year as well. And lastly, athletics, and I certainly asked our AD Lynch to join if he has some updates, but certainly the athletic grant has been the thing that I've kind of making sure that we are make sure it doesn't fall through the crack. If you all just recall, we were awarded an athletic facilities grant in the spring of this year. We did have to kind of drop back the punt a little bit because part of receiving those funds from the state is making sure that the facilities grant met certain requirements. And one of them was to have strong planning and design work to send to our school planning division and receive approval. And so moving forward with that, one of the things I found out was the timeline, and we don't want to wait to that timeline, but we are, through that agreement, we were awarded that grant to execute through June 30th of 2024. So that was a little bit of relief that just to know that we weren't going to have to revert monies because we know we can now execute with the time kind of my team and I with your support from the board to help see that carry those funds to fruition using the scope of work that was provided. I have reached out to our DPI consultant for the grant, Mr. Nathan, last name kind of leaves me, but Mr. Nathan will be helping to support and consult with if there was something in that scope of work that does not align or match with where we see our current needs going, then there may be opportunities to help shift that scope of work that was previously included. So those are just some of the updates, and I know you'll have some additional quotes throughout the agenda too, as it relates to athletics. The other thing I think, lighting for our football field. I brought Mr. Lynch, I think, brought a quote to you last meeting. Since then, I've been in conversation with 2 other companies. One being kind of like the premier lighting for high school, Musco lighting, which you hear much about. I did receive a verbal quote from them, but it comes through much higher than what we had in a written quote from that previous one. And another company out of Gastonia, North Carolina, gave us a verbal quote, and they'll go in and still to ask for them still submit me a written quote with what they're offering, because sometimes just because something is much might be a little bit higher, but sometimes the quality and standard might be also what we're looking for too for our student athletes. So look forward to get some additional updates on that as well. Okay. Mr. Lynch, you had anything you want to add, sir?
I'll just add that our volleyball team played in their first competition today.
Can you come forward, Mr. Lynch? Thank you.
Just wanted everyone to know that our volleyball team played in their first competition today, our first game of the year. They traveled to Kip Halifax, where they won 3 straight matches. So,
Great. Awesome. All right, so I think that was all for the student services section. And I believe I'm now supposed to toss it off to Ms. Fields, who, if you noticed her meeting, I was a little disheveled trying to figure out, make some phone calls outside. And I'm becoming a little concerned about her wellness. And so I need if we can kind of move some.
We'll keep going.
And I can
We'll keep
see
going.
what's happening.
Yeah,
Because I'm
I
a
have
little
some athletic questions.
Okay.
So where are we? I know there were several things that the board approved, saying to move forward with. I know one of the things was, and I'm thinking about, because of course it's football season and our kids are out there and it's hot. Where are we with the hydration systems? And it was another thing that Coach Lynch had asked for and that we also approved. And we was hoping to have it in by summer. Some kind of jump.
High
jump.
And the mat, right?
So where are we with those? Where are we with those things? Do we already have those things here?
So the quotes for both of those items are in consent agenda item. And we did one, and Coach Lynch and I did talk about several of those quotes that are in there, but we did see the need for prioritizing as we think about fund sources, that hydration equipment.
So in the meantime, how do we make sure our kids are staying hydrated if they have said, because I think Coach Lynch shared with us at one meeting, and I know we've been talking about this since probably March, April. He said something about they couldn't share bottles or something anymore.
No, we cannot.
Okay.
I thought it had been discussed at our finance meeting
It's
as
been
well.
finance.
And I thought we were moving forward in the purchasing. I don't
That's
understand what was the
what we
hold
said.
up. I thought we had already approved it.
We did.
Mr. Futrader.
I will certainly, I think it may be identifying the fund source, and I can certainly work with superintendent finance department to identify that fund source if that's already been approved for purchase.
I thought we had said ESSER.
We did say ESSER.
So I thought we had said ESSER.
We did.
And I thought we had said that in the finance meeting as well. So if we approve those again tonight, can we move on with the purchase of those, please? If we, once we approve?
Yes, absolutely. And we'll, again, I would want to make sure working with our finance department that that's an ESSER supported purchase, which, it leans toward it being, I know we did purchase 3 drinking fountains, I believe, modeled by Esther, and so this would be something comparable to also do. So yes, I would certainly work with our finance, federal
That
programs.
request should have already been changed in the ESSER line item
Okay,
under our formal federal programs director, because we made that request back in April.
okay,
Yes.
all right, well, I will certainly follow up with that.
So can you elaborate a little bit more? Because we want to make sure our children have what they need. And if they are out there running and, you know, they need to stay hydrated. So where are we with?
Like Mr. Petrucci said, we did talk about prioritizing things. Well, lights are the most important thing, but we know that it's gonna take a while with the lights. We got together and I spoke with the company out of Rocky Mount, Best Rentals, and I've reserved enough lights for the rest of this season, just in case we do not get our lights up. And next will be the hydration system. We definitely need the hydration system. We can have at least, I think, 7 students at a time, 7 to 10 students at a time drinking water. They do not have to share the same bottles, which they cannot in the state of North Carolina share the same bottle at any time anymore.
So what are we doing for that piece? Because to me, that's just as important, keeping our children hydrated. It's just as important as the lights.
I agree.
So how much are we? Okay.
We're carrying water out to the field and coolers, and we're purchasing cups to make sure that they all have different cups to drink out of each day.
Dr. Williams, I have a problem with that. And I say that because just last week, we had a guest speaker. You know, one hit, $8,500 to speak an hour and a half. And we can't get filtration systems for our children. Where's the priority for our kids? Is it on a guest speaker that stood before us for 90 minutes? And we cut a check for $8,500 for that one person? Or is it on our children who needs to stay hydrated? I mean, it's totally absurd. There is nothing one person can tell me for an hour and a half that will make me cut a check for $8,500, like Weldon City Schools did. But we have children out there running.
Right now.
Right. And what are they drinking from?
They're drinking from the cooler. They're filling their individual cups with water.
Our children shouldn't have to do that. When we pay $8,500 for one person. It is just absurd. It makes no sense to me. And maybe it's just me because I want what's best for our children. I don't get it. One check, $8,500.
What about 4 hydration
What
systems?
about plenty of hydration systems? Is that how we're really spending our dollars?
Let me say this very quickly. We've said a lot, and all of it was necessary to say. I'll say it in that respect. It was necessary to say. But the only thing we can do at this juncture is just make it perfectly clear as this governing board that this hydration system and those lights, that they need to be handled expeditiously like yesterday. And I know we're talking about the lighting system. I hear that. But in my mind, hydration trumps lights. Because football season, as you know, I know it's getting ready to start. We're on the brink of it starting. But I heard our AD said that he had made arrangements as far as lights were concerned. So when I heard that, okay, that's a patch for right now until we can get the lights going. So that's not a priority in that respect, that where it takes or supersedes the hydration system. That hydration system, it needs to be taken care of like yesterday. You know, and some stuff I understand, and this is no excuse, but this is what it is. Dr. Williams inherited some of where we are. I said some of where we are, but I understand he's the person that's in the seat, and he's the person that we have to address it. That doesn't erase anything that has been done. But I think you heard Dr. Williams tonight that the board's concerned and board members concerned about this hydration system with our student athletes, and appreciate everything that you all have done as far as trying to eradicate that problem in a timely fashion. But we're at a point now where, we need it done. we need it done.
Yeah, so,
And yeah, go ahead, Mr. Petrie.
yeah, so absolutely, we'll make sure that, work with Dr. Williams to get those things ordered and in place as soon as possible.
So my next question is, and I'm sure that I have it here somewhere, the hydration systems cost how much a piece?
About 14, slightly over 1,400.
$1,400.
And let me add, we did in our finance committee meeting, myself and Ms. Jenkins and Ms. Kate Robinson, because we're the three members that's on the finance committee. We did talk about that, and I thought that we had identified where funds would come from in that committee meeting. And if I'm not mistaken, we briefed that in one of our earlier board meetings this year, as far as, making sure that that was taken care of and that was handled. But however it is, I think the board is saying it without hesitation or reservation tonight. That needs to be handled ASAP as far as that hydration system is concerned for our student athletes. That needs to, y'all need to get that ball bouncing tomorrow if it's not already bouncing. that needs to, we really need that taken care of, because we want to make sure that our students that they have what they need, because they're representing us.
First game is when?
First game is September 2nd. And
You
first
hear that?
first four games will be on.
So the high jump, you said long
I
jump?
jump mat for track.
Okay, I know that was something that you also talked about last school year,
Yes,
that our students need. Were we the only ones in the county that didn't have it, or we were gonna be the one who did have it?
no, we're the only one in the area, I believe, that do not have one.
So it means that our students can't be competitive
No,
because,
We can't practice.
and that was something that we also said we
Yeah.
needed immediately.
they have to get to other schools earlier before the track meet just to practice.
That's unfair to our children.
Are
That's
there
also
any
with the
other,
hurdles.
are there any other, I saw the hurdles, the mat, and it's one with the hydration, and what
The
else?
racks. The
Okay,
racks
all
on
of
the
that is
weight
in
room.
our packet tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else that you need while we're talking to you?
We need other things, but that's what we need right now.
Okay,
Right now for the fall sports
for the fall
and
sports.
for the track to start practicing on off season.
Okay,
There's other things like this. Reverend Sykes said that it's needed yesterday.
okay.
So our children are at a disadvantage when they go to compete against other schools
Yes.
Right.
because they have not been properly trained.
And Coach Lynch, let me just say this as our athletic director. You come before us, before Dr. Williams joined us, before Mr. Futria joined us. And I know we have a chain of command. I understand that. And you know, Mr. Futria works with you, and of course, whatever it is, Mr. Futria reports to the superintendent, because that's at his direct supervisor. However, at the same time, this board has made it perfectly clear that with our student athletes, if we have things that our children need because they're representing us, we need to know about it. And this board cannot act, this board cannot respond if we don't know. So I heard what you said tonight, but to Ms. K. Robinson's point, if there are some other things that we need, please make a list of them and make sure that Mr. Futrell and Dr. Williams know so it can come to us sooner than later, because it's just a matter of time. We start football, but as soon as you get halfway or right at the end of football season, you all are practicing for basketball going into the next arena of sports. And so we want to make sure that we try our best to do what needs to be done so our student athletes will have their fair chance at competing in whatever sport that it is in. And if we can't afford it, I mean, we'll discover that if we don't have the budgeted line item for it to come from, we can't do it this year, then that's something that we know when we get ready to budget for next year, next school year, we need to prioritize. But if we don't have a list or something to consider, we don't have anything at our fingertips, so we can say, yes, board, the board can say we need to make this happen. So as soon as you all can, make sure that you all get that and relay that to the board. So,
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a comment before they leave. I would just like to say this, and I don't want our community or our public to think that we're just focusing on athletics, because in the spring, Dr. Carpenter came to us with requisitions for academic side. And we
Right.
spent a lot of money on the academic side.
we did.
And most of our highly academic pupils are also on the athletic side. So we're serving them the whole student. So we got to keep that in mind as well. So there's no reason why we're not serving our athletic side as well, because it's the same students. The ones who are doing very well, we want all of our students to do well, but I just don't want anyone to think that we're not spending funds. We spend a lot of money on the academic side with not only materials and instructional materials, but people. We put positions there to support the academic side. And we want to see the same thing for the athletic side as far as the things that our student athletes need. If it's there, we want it done, and we want it done in a timely manner.
I was gonna address the same thing, because our students are student athletes first, but we have put, as you said, a lot into the academic piece, but we need to serve both. We need to handle our academic stuff, and we have done that, there's not much that has been asked for on the academic piece that we have not, made a way to get it for our students. I want us to do the same thing with athlete, or any kind of extracurricular for our students.
Like
Whether
sewing
it's-
machines.
Exactly. We've been asked for those for 2 years, I'm sure. I know. Whether it's band, whatever it is. We want to make sure that our students have what they need, period.
And we can't know if you don't tell us.
So I will begin with the trail, and we'll begin to listen to you guys, get into the proper personnel, get it done.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
thank you for all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right, any other questions from student services? All right, I'll next have Ms. Fields.
All right.
To do her report.
Before Ms. Fields come up, I just can't sit here and not say anything, because I was feeling the same way. We were just focusing on and talking about athletics, but our students are in desperate need of some help in the classroom. And academics is my #1 priority. They need textbooks. Our kids are really, really hurting. They were hurting before the pandemic, and this pandemic really put something on them. We cannot afford to continue to add jobs on and not put teachers in these classrooms and support for these teachers. They need that support. These students need help. I go to the school, at least one school every day, because I have to drop a child off. And these students are really, really hurting. And it hurts me to see them hurt and to know that they deserve so much more. They deserve so much more. And we have funding in place. So in the principals that are here tonight, I'm a board member, and I'm speaking for Tiffany Hale. But if there's something that you all need, you let the board know, or let Dr. Williams know what you need in your schools, because you need a whole lot. Let them know. Don't be afraid to ask. And if we can't get it, the money in, we can get it from somewhere. We have to find a way for our kids. They are our responsibility. We are going to be held responsible for them. They are our future. And if we don't invest in our future, then what do we have to look forward to?
One more thing, Dr. Williams, I know Dr. Carpenter is not here tonight, But I would like to see at our next board meeting, a plan in correlation with our direct data that we should have by now, and what our plan is going to be for the first 90 days of school with our academic side. With our 3 new positions that we've already hired. And this 4th one that may be hired tonight, and anybody else that we're already hired and get ready to hire. We need to know what the plan is. We need to see some action from the principals and all the teachers and supplies. I know we have supplies at the central office. They need to be in the school. At the warehouse, in school.
That's right.
At the warehouse, in school, because I'm seeing long lists coming home to parents in K-5, K-4. And the supplies are out there in the warehouse.
That's right.
Our parents should not be taxed to go to Walmart
That's right.
and buy supplies that we have in the warehouse behind the central office. That should not be happening. When I said it in a finance meeting a month ago, you get the supplies out of the warehouse and get it to the schools. They're still there. I'm tired of saying it over and over again. Do I need to go out to the warehouse and get the supplies? Because I will go out there, but I shouldn't have to. No, I shouldn't have to. It needs to be done.
Well noted.
Thank you.
We'll take care of that.
Thank you.
Did you have something else to say? Okay. Any other comment? All right.
I have one thing, but I'll get to it.
Okay. We are doing the exceptional children's part now. Ms. B.
Good evening, board members.
Evening.
I have a few numbers to share with you as far as EC services for occupational therapy.
Our contracts are in the speech and vision contracts. Occupational therapy, right now, we have 19 students. Speech therapy services, we have 28. And for the vision services, I believe we have 3 for vision impaired. Our contracts,
The last one?
3, vision,
How many?
3.
So we don't have any PT.
Our physical therapy is 6.
And that's across the district.
Yes. Our active head count is 109 EC students.
109.
Yes.
So I think it was last month you told us 116. That many students?
I believe it went from 116 to 114, and now it's 109.
So we lost students, some graduated.
We lost them.
When you said lost, you mean that they are no longer in our school district, or they?
Yes. They've moved to other school districts or out of state.
Okay.
Do you have that information?
Yes, I have to pull
So-
that up. I have to pull that up. Oh, actually. Total, from the power school, our total enrollment is 689 students.
As of today.
That's in power school, not students in the seats. That's what's on power school, the students that should be at Weldon City Schools as of today.
There should be.
But we don't have an accurate number of how many are really here.
Well, it fluctuates each day, it goes up.
But first,
So by the end of the first 10 days, we'll give you an accurate account of what that looks like.
okay.
I would, if you would do this for us on day 11, I guess, close of business. Hopefully, everything will have been uploaded then, when we can get an email from you what the head count is. Because that, that's what DPI is going to look at as far as our funding is concerned anyway. Whatever you have after the first 10 days, day 11, that's what, they're going to say our enrollment is.
Sure.
Any other questions for Steve?
Yes, so Ms. Fields, looking at your, looking at the cost for the related services compared to last year. There are some that have quite an increase. I do realize that costs have gone up. And related services, people can charge what they want to because it's their business. Have you had an opportunity to kind of see what else is out there? Of course, we want to, our students have to have the services, but I'm saying as far as pricing, because I saw BI, that person is out of Georgia. So I'm just kind of wondering, how can they provide a service? Of course, I know it's going to be virtual, but is that the best thing for our students?
No, it's not. I know of another service in this area for vision impaired, but from my understanding, that person has been here for 5 or 6 years now, and the parents love her. That's what was told to me.
So, but to look in to see if we can get someone who is, because hands-on is going to be better, especially as Ms. Hale said, our students have lost so much. And if we can have a hands-on, you know, I realize it's hard to find related services.
So you would like to post a vacancy or just try to contract?
You can do research to see if we have, they could actually do face-to-face, you know. I realize it's a person in Georgia, you know, that can happen. So the other ones with the cost. Do you have
Yes.
any more information on that?
The others with the cost? Which
It's gone up tremendously.
Which contractor are you speaking about?
Is it OT?
The occupational
And I do
therapist?
know that we switched companies.
Right.
So that's probably. What about for like speech and PT? And I know that we advertised for those positions and we could not get a speech person, I think. We couldn't get anyone. So I know that you had to go with someone who is virtual. I mean, we're not virtual, a contract person.
And she is gonna be virtual this year as well.
So we need to, for speech. So we need to look for, is anyone else on related services gonna be virtual?
OT, he's coming twice a week. Speech is virtual. Occupational, they're coming into the building. And vision, of course, is virtual out of Georgia.
So is it a bidding process or?
Well,
You actually look for a provider and see where they are and can they meet the needs of our students in the district. And from there, you know, I haven't selected any new vendors except for Roanoke Therapy, which is our new physical therapy, because it was another person last year.
So you haven't done any research on finding someone who could possibly be in the building with our students?
well, I've got a list of actual speech therapists.
And you talked to some of them?
Yes. And they could not provide the services. I checked around with several other districts as well.
And they're doing the same thing.
Well, in neighboring districts, they got both. They've got virtual and face-to-face.
I'd like to see our students have. I mean, I don't want them to go without services, period. But I think it would be better for our students to have that face-to-face contact with any kind of therapy or any kind of related service. What about our psychologists?
The psychologist was selected. She's actually been here a couple of years. So that contract went into effect in June, I believe. I already had that one signed.
And that is going to be face-to-face.
Yes.
So is there not a vendor for vision in the state of North Carolina? Or all of them are just school?
Yeah, the ones that I knew of that were actually doing services in the schools have retired. and are not interested in coming back. There may be possibly a contracted service at a higher cost. What was shared with me was this person was found a couple of years ago and the parents agreed to love her.
Yeah, we need to do some, because we have some big people who are BI certified right here in our county. Just gotta reach out. Any updates from the pre-K side?
Yes, okay, so we have 20 students actively placed with eligibility. We have 5 pending eligibility. We have 1 current child find, 7 CDSA referrals, and 1 CDSA referral in transition. So our actively placed right now are at 20.
And are these students receiving services in the regular pre-K classroom, or are they in a pre-K classroom that's with the pre-K teacher special?
It's a blended setting. So we have 2 classrooms, we have 3 teachers. My EC children are within those 2 classes, and that EC teacher, EC pre-K, she's going in to work with those students and pull them out if they need to. And also one child has a one-to-one.
So the new pre-K EC teacher don't have a classroom of student. She just goes into those 2 classes and pull them out if necessary. But she
That's
just
right.
observe them while they are in the regular classroom.
Yeah, she's working with those children according to their IEP.
So is the person already in place?
Yes,
Doing that.
she's already started.
So what about the resource teacher?
We need a OCS teacher at the high school.
No, I'm
And
talking
we
about,
also need a resource teacher at the elementary school, but I believe that might have been on. the board
yeah,
minutes
but what
tonight.
that person did, yeah, that's what we're talking.
That person will work with the K through 5, K through 6.
So going in and out of classroom. Going in that classroom.
Yes.
So they're pushing in and pulling out?
Well, it's according to the IEP.
Right.
Some students may have push-in services, some may have coming out, but that person will be responsible for those services.
Okay, so we do have students that are getting, they're pushing in, and we do have some, that person will actually pull those students out and work with,
Yeah.
of course, according to their IEP.
Right.
So we have 1 EC teacher in addition to ECS or self-contained at the elementary school. So we have the self-contained.
We had this person, the resource person.
So we have, in all, we have 2 EC teachers at the elementary school.
And the pre-K teacher.
Okay, so it's right.
Is there a pre-K coordinator?
No, we don't officially have a pre-K coordinator. I'm the pre-K director.
Okay, okay, thank you. All right.
Yeah, they got me. Okay.
Any other questions?
So right now, who's providing the OCS service? The service for the students. who's using OCS?
You want to know the name of the provider? Occupational therapist?
No, I'm talking about a teacher who's working with those children and, while they're here at school. Do we, because you said we need one.
Oh, the occupational therapist is still? Oh, okay. So right now what we're doing is we have a TA that works with Mr. Scott, one of his TAs. She is right now placed under Ms. Taylor, a licensed EC teacher, and she's a TA, experienced TA. She is going with those children to their classes and providing services for those classes that are actually in CBGs.
But so how's that one person going to?
We only have 2 or
3 OCS students.
3 OCs. 1 freshman and 2 seniors.
So what prep are they in? art prep 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Well, the freshmen should be in art prep 1, but the seniors should be on.
And 4. So are they going out to get those experience, those hours?
Work on those community-based hours and those work
And those school-based hours as well?
during COVID. There was some flexibility with it, forgiveness, but now they're asking for that. They require that.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Eve.
Thank you.
All right, let us go into school health. Mr. Hold on one second, Mr. Miller, if you would, Mr. Israel, before we move, before Mr. Miller gives his report.
Yes.
Mrs. Harrison has a question for you.
Please forgive me. I wasn't really thinking, but I had asked you about the uniform for our custodian
Yes.
staff and maintenance staff.
Yeah, we can go over that now, but there is a place for the maintenance
Okay.
update after Mr. Miller.
Okay.
Now, whatever order you would like for me.
No, it's
Okay.
fine. We can wait till.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
It just popped in my head.
Oh, yeah, we will not forget that.
All
All
right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Chair.
Sure.
Good evening, board, Chair, Vice Chair, and Superintendent. On to our COVID testing program. So this year, we do have a new database called Koki Health instead of our previous Color Health. So that being said, everybody will have to re-register if they were previously in the system before. And we also have QR codes posted up at each of the schools, 3 at each school, in the office area where anybody can scan their phones and it'll take them directly to a registration link. And with the help of Mrs. Guffin over here, she helped assist me in putting the registration links to the Weldon City Schools website as well for access to the parents and staff as need be. And yes, ma'am.
How often? So it goes automatically?
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
don't have, it doesn't have to be updated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And instead of 2 links per school, they just have 1 link. So you say whether you're a dependent that you sign up for your child or anybody under 18, and self-registration, which is 18 and over.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And in the event of positive cases rising, we are fully prepared to initiate the COVID testing twice a week. So we'll do Monday and Thursday instead of just our current Mondays. And the current enrollment for COVID testing as of today, RVEC, we have 4 staff members and 1 student. The elementary school, we have 35 staff members and 5 students. Middle school, 8 staff members and 2 students. And at the high school, we have 18 staff members and 1 student, and at Central, we have 3 staff members. I'm sorry. For a district-wide total of 79 participants. And the number of tests administered for our first day of testing with the new system. Of course, it was a little hard to get the word out that quick, but we made do with what we were able to. So RVEC, we had 2 tests administered. The elementary school, we had 31 tests administered. Middle school, we had 8 tests administered. And high school, we had 7 tests administered. And Central, we had 2 tests administered for a total of 50 district-wide.
Do you have the numbers from last year around this time? You have that somewhere? So you can look at it. I'm just interested in knowing the comparison from now.
Off the top of my head, I could probably say there were around 200 participants during a good week that we had the COVID testing program.
So do you have a plan of action to get all those ones that were registered, re-registered?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I've been looking at the system from last year, and I've been speaking with students asking, do you think your parent would allow you to participate in the COVID testing again this year? And I will give them a link to take home for their parent to sign up if they were under 18, and if they were 18, which we have seniors,
Right.
then I'll let them sign up right then and there.
Same thing for our staff members?
Yes, ma'am. Our positive cases as of August 18th for students, we have had one case at RVEC, 2 cases at the elementary school, and none at the high school or the middle school. And our last case within students was July 18th of this year. And positive cases for staff members, none at RVEC, none at the elementary school, none at the middle school. And we had an additional case over the summer at the high school and 2 at Central. And the last case reported was August 9th of this year. Now, since strong schools, where we don't follow strong school guidelines anymore, we just directly have CDC guidelines. So our current CDC guidelines within Halifax, our current state is with COVID-19 is high. Of course, the levels go from low to medium to high. So we are high. The positivity rate was around 7%. And as of August 14th of this year, the positivity rate is at 30.4%. And again, it is strongly recommended by the CDC for the school boards to implement strategies in order to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 within their school systems.
So, Mr. Miller, since, you can just get a kit at the local pharmacy, did they get into our schools? That can be.
As far as I know, we just have a box of at-home test kits available at Roanoke College. And I'm not sure about the other 3 locations, but I just know that RVEC has some.
As part of the options that the state gives us as part of our contracts, we can opt in for that particular model where we're doing at-home kits, or we can do as we're doing with our current state vendor.
Gotcha.
So at a training this week where that was actually mentioned. And so those are the options that the state allows us, whether we do the state's own kits. And I'm not sure if are those kits because they're on campus on the Halifax. Yeah, that probably is on because they're on Halifax Community College campus. But Weldon City Schools is doing the contract service through, to make it better.
Okay, I'm sorry, the question was still make. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Petro. And our current COVID-19 protocol per CDC guidelines with positive cases is isolation for 5 days. And after the 5 days is ended, the student or staff member can return to work or school after the 5 days is ended. And for exposure cases, that said individual should monitor their symptoms for 5 days and then administer a COVID test on the 5th day. If positive, then they will isolate for 5 days, and if negative, they can return to school. Any questions?
So that we have 2, did we do the testing twice this week?
No, not this week.
We're gonna start that next week.
If you would like to.
Only if it increases, he said.
Okay, so it's only if, okay, because I know that was.
If the positive cases increases, or you all as the board initiate to do so. But the plan has been set in motion, and whenever you guys get the green light, we move forward.
So what happens if the student is tested positive?
If students tested positive, they are immediately put in isolation for 5 days.
So they're home.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what happens when they go home? Are they online, virtual?
Yes.
They are?
Except for the academic piece.
Yeah, that's
what
yeah.
she's asking.
Yes.
Yes, for the academic piece.
So we are providing that.
That's what I'm asking.
Usually we notify the principal and teachers within that moment that they will be placed in isolation, and then they take forward the protocol towards getting their work to them virtually.
Are we actually doing that? I'm hearing what Mr. Miller is saying, but are we actually?
I mean, we have no situations right now to
Right.
have warranted doing that, but Dr. Carpenter has not shared anything with me as to what we're doing currently.
Can you
in
find
this
that
school
out
year.
for us? Because that is gonna be important.
That is.
Sure.
And Mr. Peter,
Yes.
how are we? hopefully it won't happen, but just in case, how are we addressing monkeypox?
Wow, so I hope to work with our local health department. Mr. Robistow, reached out to him, hopefully he can even get some updates for him, but I think a little short notice for him, but I do hope to work with our health department to get a better understanding of how we can mitigate spread on that, just education and start making and ensuring that our students, families are aware. I see how the numbers seem to be, even increasing, and even students, certain ages, school age seem to be more prone. I do think that's something we're gonna have to work closely with our health department, just as we did with COVID.
That's something Mr. Miller by the guidelines, is that something that he could also work with too? Or no, because of the guidelines of the.
I would have to look at it. It's a COVID grant,
And it's all
health
stuff.
It's something we always ask.
Okay.
It'd be hard for somebody to tell you no. You got somebody to help, stop the spread of another one.
Right.
Okay. That's something I can look into.
I think we do need some education of our teachers and our students regarding the monkeypox.
Yeah, that's what
If nothing else, but from our nurses to go in and give out information and provide that.
Okay.
If possible.
Okay. But we'll work with our, like I said, the experts and help make sure that we bring education and greater awareness to help prevent and mitigate those spreads.
Okay. And Mr. Miller? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to maintenance. I think that's Mr. Davis. Okay.
Good afternoon, board chair, board members, Dr. Williams, and fellow colleagues. This is my third week of being here at Weldon City Schools. I've been a lot of places. I've done a lot of good in those places, and I look forward to doing a lot of good here. This is my first opportunity to thank each of you for approving my selection as the facilities director. And I hope to show that you made a good decision by doing that. The real big difference is this is home for me. And I plan for it to be forever until to the next one. That means that I care doubly, and I will care doubly. But first, let me just talk to you tonight, as we have a long agenda, about two things. One is the elementary and secondary school emergency act, and the projects that we have that are a part of that for this year. There are currently about 5 projects in that program that are being worked on. They're at, well, 3 projects. They comprise HVAC and roofing, as well as some outdoor seating at schools and at central services. So the HVAC projects is air conditioning in the gym, where we haven't and haven't had it since 1982 when it was built, 1980 when it was built. And air conditioning at the fulfilled units who reach their useful life at the elementary school. We're repairing the roofs at the elementary school, at sections of the elementary school, as well as on the gym as well. And that's it for the current projects. Those 3 projects and those 2 places. The other money that was designated, the future allocations were for HVAC at the high school, to replace all of the rooftop units here. They've exceeded their useful life for most of them, and there are some that are not in service even as we speak. And we're just having to make arrangements and accommodations to make sure that our students have a comfortable learning environment.
Mr. Davis, can I stop you there, please?
Sure.
Can we go back to the first
Sure.
slide?
Go ahead.
So
Mhm.
it was on the other slide, the first one. It was about the gym air conditioning.
That was it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Weldon School.
Yes,
Yeah.
I see it now. Okay. So we had discussed this and I thought that we had said to move forward with the AC in the gym.
And we-
So I'm trying to figure out why we're still here. I mean, are we in the process of getting this done? Because I know this is something that we talked about.
We're in the process.
Okay.
We're working on this. They're working on that.
Right.
What you're going to see, and if you can hold off until we get to the consent agenda, because the contracts, they were not signed, as I told you all last month, when they were supposed to be signed, they did not come to me back in March when we approved it. As a result, prices went up. And we had a facilities and grounds meeting last month, Ms. Harrison, myself, and Mr. Williams, Mr. Futrell, Dr. Williams, the persons that are working on that, and Mr. Davis and Mr. Chris. All of us was in meeting together. And we instructed them in that meeting, whatever adjustments had to be made because of price increase, that they needed to have that in to Dr. Williams and for Mr. Davis and Mr. Futrell to make sure that all the numbers were right so they could bring to us tonight for approval. So the projects are in process, but the persons that are doing it is kind of at a standstill because the materials are on back order. And because of the delay in signing the contract that we approved but was never presented for signature, it threw everything back. So the people that are actually doing it, that have the contract, they were put in a quagmire because they didn't know whether to order or not because they had not received contract. We had a meeting with them. Everything is kosher now. They've done what had to be done. They've ordered material, but because of the delay in signing, again, it threw everything back where they were looking to have it done in September. It probably won't happen now until December, because of trying to get the information. So, and Mr. Davis came in on that meeting. That was his first meeting actually with the building and grounds and facilities. And he asked a whole lot of questions about contracts, where we are and things of that nature. And so he's been on that. I can say that because he asked those questions to the persons at that meeting. But we've gone as far as we can go. We have to approve those particular contracts tonight that were to be revised to reflect the cost increase. And then they'll be able to continue to move forward. But as far as the elementary school, the roof, that's going on, those bar units, they're looking into that. All of that was going to be factored into that. But we needed that tonight, and they got it to us tonight. But when we get there, either Mr. Davis or Mr. Futrell, if there are any additional questions that you might have along those lines. But that's where we are as far as that. It's going, but it's at a point now where the material has been pushed out even further. So.
Well, thank you for clarifying, because based on what I read, I would have known all that.
Right.
So that was good that you clarified. So thank you.
Certainly.
And can we get notes from all these committee meetings so we can be kind of, up to speed with things?
And the notes were supposed to have been relayed from the contractors to Mr. Davis. That's what, Ms. Harrison, you remember that? That's what they said. They would send everything to them where they could, where they could share it with the full board. I don't know if that has happened yet.
No.
I'm saying, I don't know if they've given the notes to Mr. Davis and Mr. Futrell, so all of us would have it. They said that they were going to do, you remember that, don't you, Dr. Collins? I mean, Dr. Williams. Got instruction on my mind. My mind all over the place. I was in all of these meetings. I apologize again, sir. But that's where we are, and Mr. Futrell was the contact person, so I guess he can answer that now.
Yeah, so we have now standing meetings with not just as a facilities committee, but just so we are always in contact communication with progressive design company, our architects. And so we keep those minutes as that becomes critically important, even as we found as we look at these contracts that you all coming forward with tonight, because we want to make sure that we're being accountable for the accurateness of what is presented to us, because that's what you want us to do. And so we look at those minutes often to go back to make sure, and even as of yesterday, you'll see that some of them had to be sent back as of August 17, even this morning, to make sure that every dollar and dime is correct as a result of the minutes and meetings. But I'll certainly make sure that we make sure that those minutes from each of those meetings are shared. I'll share them with Dr. Williams and share that.
And I'll share it with the board.
Yes, and right now, but we do have a current standing meeting with this group to just stay on top of the work.
And what day was that you all agreed? No, I'm saying it was a standard day during a certain day every week, or does it fluctuate?
Wednesday, we met Tuesday, I'm sorry. Tuesday is our standard meeting for that.
Okay, all right.
Tuesday.
I couldn't remember. I know, and Ms. Harrison, correct me if I'm wrong, I know they said that was gonna be a standard day, and you all asked for one. I didn't remember what day it was, but I know you all said you were gonna meet weekly.
Tuesday, yeah, and we just met this week.
Okay.
And got them some schedules and things that they needed.
Okay.
For athletics.
All right.
And just to clarify, Dr. Belanger, but just to clarify, they did say we're gonna meet 2 weeks after, because we need to get the contract signed.
Sure.
And after they do that, get all the paperwork done, and then moving forward. And for the parts that were approved, there is work being done. I think you can go over, you'll see now that there's excavation occurring, they run. And to increase the power to that. So there's some things being done so that, we can make that deadline. So to finish up on the future projects, again, it's more HVAC units here at the high school. The middle school will get upgrades in the new chillers, new pumps, new propane boilers out at that location. And the server rooms will receive cooling updates. This is to make sure that as we go more and more online and more computing capacity, that's essential. I want to talk to you now about 3 pillars that I see that will help us to get to where we need to be very quickly. One is persons. The next one is places, the facilities themselves. And the third is processes, how we do it and what we need to do to be accountable, and that we systematically can repeat it long after me and everybody else is gone. So persons, we need the right people in the right positions. Right now, we have 2.5, just recently after the last hire, 2.5 people in maintenance. The custodial, there are 9 total bodies, but 5 of which are full-time, 4 of which are part-time. So if we look at the size of the district and just look at the matrices and best practices that go into that you would want to kind of gauge yourself by, we're not too far off. A little on the low side, but we're not too far off. We're about a half person short in maintenance if all of the people were doing maintenance. And right now we have people cutting grass, and that would be another whole number all to itself. But we're looking at that, and we're just looking at getting the right people in the right place to be efficient. So, the next one is just training them. When trained people even feel more competent, they are more competent, they're certainly in a position to be more competent. And when they're more competent, they're more confident in what they do. And by virtue of that, they even enjoy more of what they do or enjoy it better. We want them to be safe. So at the top of that list of training is how to be safe, so keep themselves safe, keep their co-workers safe, to return home in the manner in which they came to work. Part of that, well, enhanced morale. Number one thing about that is have everyone to be on the same page, rowing in the same direction. Nothing says or does that better than uniforms. We have a sample of some uniforms that are here today that can be rented. And there's some other, there's smocks for women, you know, who may prefer smocks and short pants. So, that's just one sample. We can look at others. I haven't met with the individual groups yet. We have, my commitment to them is that we would meet periodically. That periodically may be 3 weeks, it may be 5 weeks, but at least once every month, we will meet to discuss where we are, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how we can do it better. So this is hopefully will help them to feel oneness, to be on the same page. Hopefully they'll begin to row in the same direction or continue to row in the same direction. Things didn't just start when I arrived, and I'm well aware of that. So one last piece about the enhanced morale. It's very important to be out in the field, and I know that many of you are, many of us are. And not only be out in the field and talking to people, but more importantly, listening to what they're saying and listening to what their concerns are. So we again plan to be continue to be big advocates of that and continue doing that. Along the persons would be a diverse field of qualified vendors. We want to develop relationships with vendors who share our values, to make sure that they're just not here just for the buck, but at least make sure that we get the value, or we need to make sure that we get the value for the money that we spend that's been entrusted to us. So those are the concerns as it relates to persons. Any questions?
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
I'd like for you to meet with all of your staff.
Mm-hmm.
You do have staff that may be on the custodial side.
Yes.
They have some skills that will benefit you on the maintenance side. And I would like for you to figure that out and get that going and send the transfers to us.
Okay.
And also you have some people who leave at 1 o'clock every day that probably need to work all day that will help in your lack of having staff when you need them. And because that's an issue for this board, I do believe. We've been paying outside vendors to do things that we shouldn't have to be paying our maintenance. We're already paying our maintenance to be doing, such as coming in paint. We paid plenty of money out for payments. And our maintenance department should be able to pay at the least. So there are things that we should be paying outside vendors for that we expect the maintenance department to be doing. So if you could kind of take care of that, I don't see why we would book anything in your training or anything that you would need under a certain amount of money. But first we need you to look at what you already have and make the best use of that first. And then we can look at what we need, because we know that we have some expertise right here already that's not being fully utilized.
Places. We want to certainly prioritize our improvements. Obviously, just looking at the ESSER projects, whether out of necessity or whether out of the need to just do it, HVAC and roofing projects are, from a facility standpoint, my experience has been that they need to be at the very top of the prioritization list. After going around and examining the units here and seeing that they are not at their useful life, well past their useful life, that was is a very good move. Some people say no brainer, but still, it is what's being done. It is a thing that will ensure that there's comfort in the classroom. And we need to continue to do that. Now, part of the prioritization means that, and we intend to pursue, is a robust facility asset needs program. It's required by the Department of Public Instruction that one is done every 5 years. Usually in increments of 20, next one is due in 25. Those run the gamut, but what is very sure is those who do a good job of identifying their needs get better results as more money as a result of that. One measure as to whether you've got a good program would be if someone came and said, here is $1 billion, what would you do with it? The answer would be to take your facility needs program or list, hand it to them and says, start spending at the top and keep spending until you run out of money. That would be the answer. You don't have to speak any words if we can get to that. And we need to have that. We need to have that so that the board can look at it. I heard tonight says, bring your needs to us. Identify what you need, bring them to us, and let us know. Don't come and tell us, well, and it shouldn't be a surprise. It should be an active, ongoing program that the superintendent and his staff, that we maintain and that we have in front of you so that you can make the right decisions. So obviously, learning spaces first. We need to make sure that they're well lit, that they're comfortable, and that they are conducive for kids to learn. We talked about learning and achievement. It's always at the forefront of what we do. We're charging into excellence. We need to prioritize those places being done and do the things that to keep them at the top of our priority list. Last on this places list would be curb appeal. One of the things that drove me to this job is just that. When I drive by, I've got two choices. I can get on the bandwagon of everybody complaining about how bad it is, what people are or are not doing with whatever resources they've been given, or you can do something about it. Now, if you have the wherewithal to do something about it, certainly would mean that it only makes sense that you do so. But I would submit to you that if you drove up to a restaurant that wasn't very appealing, you ain't gonna jump out of your car. I'm sorry, you are not going to jump out of your car and rush into that restaurant to enjoy a good meal, especially when you get in there and the place is not looking clean, sanitary, and safe. And if it's hot and muggy and sweaty in there, the same would occur. So curb appeal is certainly a big portion of what we intend to improve upon. What people see outside, they make assumptions about what might be going on inside. So it's a lot of ground to cover. And that is why, after being here 3 weeks, I hit the ground running, and still a lot of ground to catch up on. Look, I don't know it all. I really don't. And I'm a big believer in collaborative learning. And I think collaboratively we can get to a better place. And that is certainly my hope, my dream, my aspiration to do. And I certainly appreciate all of the support that you all have done. I got here and they've already got stuff approved and ready to go. So there are conversations about new schools that are going. So you all are part of that. So that's all of that support certainly will be needed. And if those things come to fruition, That'll take care of a lot of the things that we're talking about, but then we develop another one. We gotta have people who can take care of those new 21st century schools, and keep those things. So it never ends, the training, the keeping pace. And so it's a continuing cycle. And I only hope that I can be for a long time, be a part of that and be a part of that improvement process. We talked about processes. One is to get work done. How do you do that? And you got to have an orderly way in which you gather all the work, prioritize it, and report back to people about what you've done. You have to have an environment where people are confident that what I asked for will be done. Work order system, we have one. We have one of the best, in fact. It's just a matter of wrapping our arms around it and making sure that we're utilizing it to the best degree possible. Asset management, we've got good stuff. So we need to focus on, one, taking care of what we have until we can get something better. And we also will be accountable for the stuff that we have. So that's just something that we have to do. And at the end of the day, we want to be service oriented. We want to be customer focused and communicate to our customers what we do and have them believe that if they request it, we'll get it done. Any questions?
Suggestion.
Yes.
At our last finance meeting, that was before you were hired, I did let our principal, I don't know if Mr. Richardson is here. I did tell him that we needed to work on the front of the building. The last time we met here, it was a heavy rain. And I had a long dress on, and if it was the rain right now, your nice suit at the bottom would be soaking, drenching wet around your feet if we walked out in front of this building. That needs to be fixed immediately. Our parents should not have to come and try to pick up their children. Our children should not have to wade through water to get in and out of this school. That's a big deal for me.
While I didn't witness that, I agree with you. While I didn't witness that, what I did witness was in my walkthrough and walking around, but there was just a lot of places that backed up. And as I began to question that to the board, what I found out is, and what is known is, there is a spot at the corner of where the buses go out. There is a pipe that is too small that the state knows. We had a discussion about it when we were talking about the new school that would need to be improved. And I think that's when once that backs up, all the water backs up behind it. That is the cause of all of the backups that we have. It's a small point. And so maybe, my thing is to look at what we need to do to rally enough heat around that issue to get them to take care of that. It has to be fixed. And look, if we don't say anything, they don't say anything.
Right. So we need somebody, you to say something.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's
one last comment.
Sure.
Have you been to Halifax yet?
Oh, at Andrew Jackson?
Yeah.
You mean since I left there in the 7th grade?
No, since then. Since you,
I have.
in the last 3 weeks, have you been there?
I have. Oh, not in the last, well, yeah, 3 weeks. I guess I'm here 3 weeks. So, yeah, I've been there.
That grass needs to be kept cut down.
That's
That's a family oriented place. Kids play there. Churches go there. It's a small community that a lot of us grew up in, and it's a part of Weldon City Schools. And a lot of us hold it really dear and near to our hearts. And we would like to make it still be kept up, please.
Well, it's certainly near to mine.
I know it is. I'm sure it is.
Well, let's see if we need to have this conversation at the next meeting.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. And thank you for getting those uniforms.
Right. Moving on to letter E, our financial reports. Okay.
Greetings. Board Chair, Vice Board Chair, other board members, Superintendent Williams. Let me start off first by putting a face with the name. My name is Marvel Gay. I'm the new Chief Financial Officer. Thank you for bringing me on board. What you have before you, and what you should have before you, is a update on our local funds. That is a report that I'll be going over tonight. We're in the process of creating the 2022-2023 fiscal year budget. So you'll be getting in the August meeting a more detailed budget on the PRCs, that funds that we'll be receiving. Starts with a gold header across the top. Everyone, such as, okay.
Yes.
All right, so I'll point out, I guess, one or two things that I deem important, and then you can ask me whatever questions you would like. To kind of explain this report. I know that you all are familiar with this format. I would start off by saying, if you look at the current expense fund, which is fund number 2, you will see in this particular report, we have some revenues. So this report reflects month to month. So because we're starting our new year, you will only see what revenues we have to date for this fiscal year. So that's why you only see, county appropriations. Then you move down to expenditures. That just reflects the expenditures that we have for the month of July. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware that it's a running month to month, not based on the last fiscal year. Any questions? Okay. So that's the current expense, capital outlay. We don't have any revenues in for that. That's why that top section is completely zeroed out. Child nutrition, same. We haven't received those funds yet, but we do have some expenditures. But again, that's why the top is zeroed out. Local expense fund, same format. Revenues are zeroed out. We do have through expenditures. August will be a very different looking report on these funds, because we're still receiving revenues, because by that time we've been done appropriated the budget that we have. Any questions?
Did I understand you correctly that you will be continuing the PRC reports that we've become accustomed to from Ms.
Yes.
Wall?
Yes.
Because we really do like that. That's something new that she did.
We just didn't have it
I
running
understand.
because of the budget.
I understand completely.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
each month you'll be getting both. You'll be getting an update on the local funds and an update on the PRC.
Okay. And I will be reaching out to you as the finance chair.
Okay.
To schedule our monthly meeting for
All right.
September.
Okay.
So I will be reaching out.
Look forward to
You and Dr. Williams to know. I will be reaching out.
Just for clarity, I
Yes.
heard you say, but just so everybody can know, and this is not just so anyone's intelligence, because I think everybody can read. We understand that we didn't have any revenue for the month of July because we're just starting that.
Correct.
So you'll get something to report next month in that regard. Basically, what our school district has been doing for the month of July, because funds have not really hit yet, we have been operating for the month of July on our fund balance until money is actually sent to the district in a nutshell. That's really what we're looking at. So our unobligated fund balance, Fund 2, that's 1.8 million. Our capital outlay fund balance is 914,000. I'm just using even figures. Child nutrition unobligated fund balance is 302,000. And our local fund 8 unobligated fund balance at 1.124 million. So when you see that there, we did have expenditures for the month of July, but no funds have come in yet to actually report. So just wanted us to be clear on that. We are operating, but we also wait 5 money to come in that regard. Yeah.
Okay. What about the report or the updated report for the ESSER monies?
Mr. German, who's the director of federal programs, he will address that, the
Okay.
PRCs and ESSER.
Okay. The retreat that the district had, the district retreat, where would it come out of?
That came out of our state appropriation.
That came out of Restart Fund.
Restart. Who's gonna report on that?
Let me say something to that, Ms. Gabe, because you were not here when all of that was approved. Of course, you just recently started. Board, if you remember, when Dr. Carpenter was our interim superintendent, we did approve this summer retreat. Now, as far as what was spent, that I was just assuming that would come along later or would be shared with it. But we as a board, we did approve that retreat and what was going on as far as that was concerned. Now, as far as the details of how much was spent, I do not have, but I'm just reminding us that we did approve that retreat. That was in the working when Dr. Williams.
I'm asking for a report.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying we did approve it, but as far as the report that you said, I don't have it. And I don't think Mr. Gabe would have that. That was at the end of the school year. So I think what we need to do, the report that you're asking for, is to make sure that Dr. Carpenter, because that was out of Restart and all, that the report is shared with Dr. Williams so we can get it. That was my point. I was just saying that we had approved it before either one of them arrived. And as far as the report is concerned, yeah, we can get that, but I think Dr. Carpenter needs to share that with. And Ms. Wall was in the working with that then, and well, she's no longer.
Next board meeting suffice.
Finance
It
officer.
will. I mean, I just want to be transparent with the board and the community.
Okay.
And
about all
also,
monies.
may I say, maybe a week or so ago, Dr. Carpenter forwarded to me the expenditures from that retreat that I forwarded to the board. Recall, I sent you that information, and I don't know what you may need further than that, but I gave
Well,
you.
the expenses, what was left, I mean, we have a report here that's what's left in the current expense fund. We have a report what's left in the capital outlay. I just, PRC, he's gonna give us, and we have a report here. So why not have a report for Restart?
Sure, we'll get that too.
And there were some question marks on that report that was incomplete, so it's not a complete report. I think I put that in my response to your email as well. That I would like a complete report from that. There were some blanks there.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
And the Restart funds to that point, I know we had to spend a lot of it. Our backs were up against the wall. You all remember the month of June, and especially in our finance meeting, we reported in our June meeting, it was, I think it was like $800,000 that we had to spend by June 30th. So I guess it would probably benefit us to have that end of year restart spending.
Total.
The total as
That's what the
well,
most
not
of it was
just.
spent in summer learning. We
That's
know
right,
that,
yeah.
we approved that,
Right.
but we would like to see the retreat working out as well. That was-
So this has like the dates and how much the speakers were paid and all of that up here.
Not for all of them, some question marks.
So, right, there's some question marks beside facilitators, $8,750. It's not an issue with the retreat, because we want our staff to go and grow. But what we're asking for is the information without question marks, because all this says here, it's a total of 30,000, and that even have question marks behind it.
No, what I was asking for was, because I didn't see it up here. I was just asking, I know monies was spent.
Right.
And I didn't see it up here, so I was asking, where was it at? That's what I was asking for.
I got you.
Where is that money? A report. I didn't have this, and I haven't seen this.
It's not
This-
email.
Okay, this one here.
Make sure.
But that was restart, so we need the restart report, because that wouldn't be listed in either one of our funds. That
But
was
that
just,
ended June 30.
right,
That was the last fiscal year, am I correct?
Right.
Okay.
And it says that it came from restart funds at the time.
right. So that's the arena in which the report needs to come from. So if that was not clear, I guess, whatever the question marks are that some of the board members have alluded to, we just make sure that we remove those question marks and put whatever information needs to be there. Is that sufficient? Is that okay? All right.
Okay, and one other thing I want to give the board an update on. I have made contact with the auditors. They will be on site doing field work the week of September the 6th. So far, they requested our check register, our general ledger, and our trial balance, which was uploaded and sent to them electronically. So the week of the 6th, we'll see what else they will, what else they need assistance.
They are a new company that we hired, and so we just want to make sure that they are giving us what we need and what we're paying for.
Right, I was told there had been some delay
Mhm.
in receiving feedback from
Yes,
them.
yes.
So we have made contact, and we had a virtual meeting this week, and we sent what they requested this week as well.
Okay.
So, Mr. Gay, all of the bills that we had from the summer, because of course we have a summer program, where it was for elementary, for all of our students in the district, all of those bills been paid.
To my knowledge, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Right there, we're broke. Okay.
Regents Board Chair, board members,
Good evening.
board attorney, and all of us that are here with us, virtually and in person. Here to give you the report for finance federal programs. In your board folder, you should see a report that shows the PRCs that have been approved by NCDP, the Ohio Department of Instruction so far. We have been working with our regional coordinators for our consolidated grants, including our ESSA grants. We have 2 different individuals who met with them this week. We plan to have another meeting scheduled for Monday. So we'll be meeting with them to close out our consolidated applications and budgets they've already been submitted, but just for 050, our Title I, and 103, our Title II, that's what we'll be working on Monday to close out. If there are any particular questions about this series, about the report, to answer them at this moment.
Are there currently any grants that you're working on?
You have to forgive me, I apologize, I have a slight hereditary hearing issue, so I'm not able to hear you clearly, but I'm willing to answer any of your questions.
Are there currently any grants that you're working on?
Yes, we're working with Mr. Petro with this Safe School grant. We also have other grants that we've issued out to different departments. I will provide a list for you. I don't have them at the moment, but I know that we've recently been working on a Safe School grant because that's the one that is due at the end of this month here. So that is first and foremost to make sure that our students, when they come to the schools, to our buildings, our facilities, they are safe. So I will provide a list of all other grants that we're all currently working on, but it is our one is that how important at this moment. Yeah, 171, 181, that's our ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 grants. That's where the majority of our federal funding will be coming from. We have submitted our budgets for those there. Our applications are ready for submission, so everything is there. When our regional coordinators come in on Monday, they will review things. So they're giving us some firsthand assistance, making sure that before we hit the submit button, that everything is in line as far as our numbers and our application saying what we're going to be doing with the funding, make sure that all is good. So when we hit the button, we will not be in delay of receiving that funding that we want to. When DPI released it, we want to be in first line to receive those funds and not do an extension to delay any activities or process that we have in place to use that funding for already.
Mr. German, you said that we're working on the when the, what did you call them? The people that you said are coming on Monday. The people that you said are coming on Monday. Who is that?
But it's free from the state. We have Miss Allie Evans, I believe, is our ESSER regional coordinator, and Miss
Shawnee,
can't remember her name.
Andrews.
Yeah, Miss Andrews. She is for our consolidated grant. So you guys provided two individuals, one for ESSER funding, those expiring funds that be ended in 2023 or 24. Some of them are ending at the end of this month here. The ones you see at the top of the list there with your CARES Act, ESSER 1 and Gear 1, those funds will be expiring in September 30th. We have already communicated with our colleagues to make sure that those funds are utilized for its purpose. We don't want to send any dollars or cents or pennies to anybody.
You know, that's very important, not to send any money back.
Very important.
Y'all won't be happy campers. You sent money back.
Right.
I'll tell you that now. I want to say this to you, Mr. German, and to you, Mr. Gage.
Yes.
As far as our schools are concerned, now, when the budgets and all drop for the funding, it's for Title I, Title II, all of that, we need to make sure that our principals at each schools have their budgets. I mean, I know that you all have to make sure that they get them, but what I'm trying to say, make sure that the principals have their budgets. Now, if they spend every dime in 30 days, that's their problem. It's gone. They won't get any more. But they need to know what their budgets are, how much money they have to work with, so they can ration it out for this school year. And again, if they spend it all the first 30 days or the first 6 months, that's what they get. But we need to make sure that our building administrators know what they're, and not only building administrators, but our departments as well. They need to have their budgets.
I will say to the complete board, I understand that has been an issue.
It has.
So right now, the principals are aware of their Title I budgets because they have their totals. They have provided me a breakdown of how they're going to spend it, how they want to spend it. That's fine. Once we get the state allocation and the restart, once again, they'll get the total amount. They'll generate me a budget. How they want to spend it, that's how they want to spend it. Mr. German will just monitor to say, hey, you got 5,000 left, or hey, you don't went over 5,000. But we definitely know all the principals will have that budget. They'll know what type of money they got. They'll know how to spend it. That won't be an issue.
So who's going to monitor to make sure that the principals, you're spending it the way that they're supposed to?
That is Mr. German.
Yes, so we're gonna make sure, actually, from the breakdown they've given, it's helping us on the front side of it, because They have requested certain things that we're able to utilize state funding for, restart funding for, so we can give them more than money to utilize in their their schools and exercise some of those projects they want to do. So we're definitely going to make sure that we don't overspend. We don't want to send any money back, but we definitely don't want to overspend where we have to go in our fund balance to replace anything that can be taken care of beforehand.
So we're gonna purchase the software for Canvas.
Yes, that particular grant funding there is specifically, they've written it specifically where they have to use Canvas. We would love to utilize that funding for some other software that we have, but the requirements based on the manual says that it has to be for Canvas software. So Dr. Carpenter is now, we're looking into some avenues on how we can best utilize that software within our school district.
And so how are we planning to use Canvas? Is it gonna be to support our students with testing, or, I mean, our teachers where they can like post their course? How are we gonna use that? Because I know it's different in different districts.
Yes, they have a learning management, kind of system already. So that was one of the questions that came up, said, how do we utilize Canvas when we already have a platform for those things there? So being creative, maybe it could be something that we use at the school levels when we might be doing parent involvement. Maybe need to use it for some, get some surveys done or something, and make it electronic so we can cut costs on paper and stamps and mailing and things like that. So we're trying to be creative in a way, trying to think of some creative measures in which we can use this software and just not purchase this that we use it for the person that's just sitting there obsolete and dead and not being used. So,
Mr. Durham, can you look into the parents piece of Canvas, so the parents can go in and actually see, what their child is doing and
yes,
the syllabus and all of that?
yes, that's what we're trying to use it for. Actually, Canvas, they're using it from past experience with me and Dr. Cochran talked about it, using it just to post assignments and for the students, but they already have that. So I think they have a platform where parents can go to already and look at track their students' test scores or activities in the classroom.
But is that Canvas or Google Classroom?
Pardon me?
Is that Canvas or Google
No, it's
Classroom?
another, so I don't know the name, that's all I will get that information to you. But Canvas is similar to what we already have, so maybe we might, with the funding we have for it, it may not be enough to provide enough for every student. So we want to be fair across the board. So when we do, Dr. Carpenter comes with the idea, finalized idea of what we're going to be using. We're trying to make sure that it's fair across the board and how it's being used.
So it'll be for all schools, not just the high school. Will it be for all schools and not just the high school? Because I know in the past,
Yes.
the high school only used Canvas. The other two schools, they use Google Classroom, the elementary and the middle school.
That is our intent. We're still in the process of trying to finalize that plan on how it's going to be used and what schools would, like I said, we're trying to make sure it's being used at all schools. If it's going to be, we don't want our parents to be in a situation where they're saying, well, I have a student in elementary and a student in high school, they're having to learn how to manage two different platforms. So we understand that and we're trying to alleviate that stress level there for the parents.
And may I chime in to say, the checks and balances that we are putting in place for our federal programs and federal funds would be that Dr. Carpenter is the district administrator for the programmatic side. Mr. German is the district administrator for the funding side. So we have, what are you doing with these funds here for the programmatic? And then we're managing the monies as they go out to make sure that we don't overspend from different departments or different school principals.
So you said that Dr. Carpenter is the person for the program?
For the program side. So we have two district managers, administrators for our federal programs, particularly Title I. And so the program drives the money. The money follows the program. And so if we are looking at, for example, Canvas, that's the program, but then the money follows it. But both of the checks and balances would be for both of them to see and to make sure that it's spent for the intent.
So who is the person responsible for writing the grant for those?
That would be Mr. Jones.
Because I see Dr. Carpenter as being just a support person.
Well, they both are district administrators.
I'm
As-
saying support for
Right.
the program piece.
I see them working closely. I don't see Dr. Carpenter writing any grants or anything. I see the director. That's what it has been in the
Right.
past.
He's
right?
doing the grant writing, but
Oh.
she is a part of that as far as what the needs are academically. on the academic
Implementation.
side.
So for me, I see her as a support person. Mr. German is the director, but she's providing the input from the curriculum side. Am I right? Am I
That is correct.
okay?
That is correct.
All right, any other questions?
All right. Thank you. Got your request, I will get that to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Board members, we have now a 2-minute break. Y'all want it?
Yes.
Okay. Some are saying yes, so we gonna pause. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll take our 2-minute break at this time. Our break has expired. We're going to get ready to resume our meeting. At this time, we have our public forum. Dr. Williams, do we have anyone for public forum tonight?
Yes, sir. We have one person, that's Ms. Regina Brooks.
All right, Mrs. Brooks. You ready? Ms. Brooks, you ready?
Of course.
All right. Right. Of course, you know, we have 3 minutes, and let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
Good evening to all. Good evening. Good evening. Lord, help me to hold out. Weldon City Schools Board of Education. It might seem as if I'm rambling tonight. Believe me, I've been praying since the last board meeting. I'm led by the Holy Spirit. I returned home after the last board meeting and someone attempted to break in. So tonight, I want to invite everyone who works with Weldon City School to move in the Weldon City Schools district, because I want you to get some of what I've gotten, having had it in 25 years. Robbery, break-ins, drugs. Check it out. And I invite them, this is a public announcement. Come to 412 Sycamore Street. Come back. Come tonight when I get back. Barbed wire, bullets. Please come in my house. You won't return. I am a widow. I've been here 25 years. Worked hard for everything I have. You will not do it to me. So you invite everyone that you've hired to move to the district. And if I don't complete it, don't worry, I'm going to the news. I'm going to Washington, D.C. if I have to, so that somebody in Weldon City Schools will educate children. I just had my son's Morehouse godfather to call me and say, Ms. Brooks, please be gentle. They can't all have Regina Brooks as a mother. Why not? Why not have them all as Morehouse men, Winston-Salem State University grads? Thank you, Holy Spirit. As I said, I plan this month to present to the late Dr. Bishop Daly, Dr. Dennis Sawyer, Mr. Kenneth Turner, and Mr. James Lynch, and words of encouragement to the new superintendent. But that'll have to be next month. I recently spoke with a few retirees from Weldon City Schools. All they were quick to tell me that I'm on point when I speak at school board meetings. Don't. I said, well, what's your problem? You didn't have the guts to tell them when you were working? Why not tell the truth? Oh, Miss Brooks, they say you're too vocal. Some say I need to be more positive. What's wrong with the truth? You know, you're going places. We're not all educating children. We're not all free. Some are teaching, some are working, some are helping parents, some don't care. Some are just here to get the little stipends that are given. Okay. Let's see, after 2 years with the ESSA funds and all the grants, let's see how long they'll stay. As I say, invite them to move here. Biscuitville is here. And it brought back reminiscences to me about my husband years ago when he was principal in Martin County. He returned one night, he said, when he was at East Carolina University in grad school. He said, I met a wonderful young man at Biscuitville. And to my knowledge, he was an educator. I talked with him. I encouraged him to apply. I need a coach. And he was at Fiscal. He applied it. He got the position. Not only that, he moved his family. He brought his son from Pitt County to Martin County. One of the best coaches anyone could have. And he's still a friend of the Brooks. What's wrong with trying to find people who are dedicated and educated instead of sitting here saying, oh, you didn't apply, but you know there are people here who can walk in and talk, and you're looking at one. So be it. I am being led by the Holy Spirit and not man. The blood of the children, as I've told you before, is not going to be on my hands. My son left at 16 and went to Morehouse. What are the other children doing that are not at the early college? What are you doing?
time, Ms. Brooks.
Thank you so much. You will see and hear about it soon.
All right. Do you have anything else for? All right. All right, moving on to number 9, HCC Board of Trustees appointment. Of course, our last meeting, we said that we were going to advertise. As far as that is concerned, Dr. Williams has shared with me that we do have 2 individuals that have submitted letters of interest. If you don't mind calling the names of those 2 individuals, and board members, if you need to hear anything as far as that letter is concerned, I can have Dr. Williams to read it, but who are the 2 persons?
Certainly. One is Miss Barbara Sharon, current board member, and the other is a Mr. Noah Davis Senior, who has written a letter of interest in that position.
You all want to get a letter of interest?
I believe Mr. Davis is a former employee. Question.
Yeah, he was with
He
us.
was. No, I'm saying he was.
Yeah, I remember.
If you can give us, I guess, a summary of their letters of interest.
Okay, Mr. Davis's letter of interest. He said, I would like to express my interest in the trustee position at Halifax Community College, representing Weldon City Schools. As a graduate of Weldon High School and a parent of 3 students who have graduated and 1 currently at Weldon City School System, I have a vested interest in the education and advancement of our students. I'm a graduate of North Carolina A&T State University, have over 30 years of corporate and business experience. I truly feel that I will add value to the discussions and decisions making alignment with the trustee position. That's Mr. Davis. Ms. Sharon, she's a current board member. I don't know if you want to read that or. Okay, here we go. My name is Barbara Sharon, and I am a proud native of Weldon, North Carolina. I graduated from Weldon High School in the year of 2000. I'm a mother of 5 children. 4 of my children have taken advantage of an amazing college program offered through Weldon City Schools and Halifax Community College. 3 of my children have successfully graduated from Roanoke Valley Early College. All are currently striving in HBCUs. As an active parent, I have served in many capacities for the last 10 years. It is my privilege to have influence in our community, and it is an honor to serve as Weldon City Schools and Halifax County Community College ambassador. I've shared the good works being done regularly with state and elected officials so they know our school and college is worthy of praise and ongoing investments. Also, I have an established business in Weldon called A Brighter Future of Weldon, LLC. Currently, I'm employed at Roanoke Rapids Graded School District, serving as the community outreach liaison. For the past 8 years, I've served on the Mental Health Substance Abuse Committee for Mental Health Advocacy. As an activist in our community, I've sponsored and held insightful awareness events, along with hosting several successful Weldon community events to give back to our youth and families in poverty. Reapplying for this position as a board member with Halifax Community College Board of Trustees will broaden the scope of stakeholders to be reached. My work ethics and skills are aligned with the goals and focus of this organization. I've used the wisdom I've gained to help with community projects, bringing awareness and giving feedback to this organization reach its objectives and thrive. In this difficult economic times, I feel compelled to perform my civic duties to assist in any way possible to ensure a better way of life for youth, citizens, and our community. In the year that I've served as a trustee, I have advocated for Weldon City Schools while educating students and parents on the benefits of this school system. I've taken time from my personal and professional obligations to attend meetings, trainings, and leadership conferences to ensure my position as a Board of Trustee member is executed effectively. I have a passion for change in our community, and I've displayed this passion as a Board of Trustee by being a voice for the youth and citizens that I encounter daily, among many other ways. I invested in our community and strive to help Weldon City Schools, Halifax Community College, and the town of Weldon become a better place. I stand ready to serve and advocate for our future leaders. Kind regards, Barbie Sharon.
Discussion.
Was there, I know last month, Mr. Williams said something about nominating also, so does he have a nomination?
Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I thought we said in the meeting that if we had nominations, that we would get that in by August the 8th. So yeah, I don't know if they were, because we said they had to be submitted through the central office.
Okay, all right.
That's what we still good with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the only ones that were submitted to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did any board member make a nomination? I did. Okay. Mr. Williams, is he still with us?
Yes, sir, I'm still here.
Okay, all right. Was there any nominations from you? You submitted, if you had one, you submitted it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It had to be submitted.
So it was already submitted, you saying, right?
Right.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, with discussion, board members, so whoever's on the Ms. Jenkins, discussion, I mean, we've discussed it.
Mr. Davis, is a former bus driver. If it's the same person that I'm thinking of, he was excellent. Had great rapport with the children. He was always on time. He was the best bus driver my daughter has ever had. And he cared about those children. And he still remember them, though she is 22. If we see him in Walmart, he's gonna stop and have a conversation. Just all around great person. I was sad to see him, leave us as a bus driver, but I know that he had other things that he was doing and, things in the community. So he would definitely be an excellent person to and Miss Sharon has been great in supporting us. But I think Mr. Davis would be an excellent person to carry on that vision.
I just like to say that I know that Ms. Sharon is an outstanding community leader, and she's doing an outstanding job right now on our Board of Trustees meeting. They've had a whole lot of issues with being able to meet because their board members, trustees are not even showing up at the meetings. And she is present and there and accounted for, and she's a great advocate. And I do believe she also had a letter of recommendation from Weldon City School staff members as well. So I know that she represents Weldon City Schools very well on our behalf as a past parent and a present parent and an advocate for our students.
Any other discussion? Ms. Jenkins, Mr. Williams, Harrison, Mateo. I don't have any discussion.
Well, I will say, because I'm the one that kind of brought it up, but I just want to be fair about it. And Ms. Sharon was just serving the remainder of Ms. Betty's grace term. And so just be fair about it. That's why I wanted it back open again. I didn't have any problems with Ms. Sharon being the trustee member. And I know both of the individuals. And I think that either one of them would do. Ms. Sharon will continue to do a good job, or Mr. Davis will do a good job as well.
we gotta choose one. So, I mean, a motion would be in order to approve one. That fails, then of course we have to go to the next person. However it goes.
I make motions.
Then we continue with Ms. Sharon, Barbara Sharon, as the board of trustees, Halifax Community College.
Second.
It's been motioned by Ms. Kay Robinson and seconded by Ms. Donna Harrison that we reappoint Ms. Bobby Shern to continue to serve as our representative from Weldon City Schools on the HCC Board of Trustees. You heard that motion. Is there any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, would you let it be known by your voice vote? Ms. Jenkins? Robinson, Ms. K. Robinson?
Aye.
Mrs. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Aye.
Ms. Bird Robinson?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Nay.
And O.D. Sykes? Aye. Let the record reflect that motion passes 5 in favor, 2 opposed. Those voted for were Ms. Jenkins, myself, Ms. K. Robinson, Ms. Hale, Ms. Harrison, and those voting against was Mrs. Bird Robinson and Mr. Williams. Motion passes. All right, we'll go on to 9A. Meeting place.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to, I think we need to be consistent with where we have our meetings. You know, we gone from the central office, which I understood, moved from the central office with COVID, cost a lot of space. But we bounce around between Halifax Community College and Weldon High School. I think we need a consistent place. It's gotten so that the day of the meeting, I'm calling around trying to find out where we're gonna meet. I don't think that should be necessary. I mean, the community members, the ones that want to attend, is not put out there. So we need to have I feel that we need to have a vote on a central location and remain there. That's all, sir.
Okay. Any comments, any questions?
I'm good with that because I know at the community college, we have to be out by 10. And our meetings sometimes extend beyond that. So that I think the best place for us will be here at the high school.
All right. And we can do that. That's no problem. I just want to point this out. Yeah, that board members, in collaboration with Dr. Williams, the last few times that we moved, of course, it was some things going on here at the high school that was really a cosmetic thing when we went to HCC, because they were doing floors, they were putting together desks. I mean, the list goes on of things that they were doing, as I was told. And so we made the switch to do that. Of course, coming here is no problem. We don't have any time for or going to any school if we need to. Depending upon what's going on. I have no problem with us. I've never had a problem with us designating a spot, but of course, we all agree that central office was just too small for, the amount of people that were coming out. And of course, it's not as many people here tonight. We're just getting back into school, but as we have students of the month, employee of the month, of course, the crowd is gonna pick back up. So if we come here for month to meet, that's fine. We will do what we need to do. So everybody's good with that.
I'm fine.
Okay. All right. So high school it is.
Neil, is this the time that we need to discuss? We talked about streaming it live, streaming it. but we don't necessarily have to, put it YouTube. Is this the time for us to discuss that now, or?
It's the board's pleasure that it's germane to the subject of the meeting. As I said earlier, Mr. Robinson, you don't have any obligation to stream the meetings as long as they're physically open to the public.
As long as they're what? I think they're
As long as they're physically open, as long as
Right,
it's an in-person meeting, the public can attend, there's no streaming requirement.
I think streaming it is important because we do want some of our community members, actually look at it online. But I guess my question goes back to, well, it's not a question more because you answered that about, do we have to actually like put it on YouTube like we've been doing?
You don't have to stream at all, so certainly you can use any platform you want it if you do choose to stream. It's purely discretionary.
You did say something about on our webpage, right?
Oh, yeah, we don't have to post it to YouTube, but we
Right.
can stream the meeting on our website. So, our general public can have access to it, in that respect, but it doesn't have to be on YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure the technology department, they know how to have a live stream on our website. I mean, I think it's easy to do. I mean, technology is here. We can hear from them.
Can't hear you. Okay.
I think some districts use YouTube because it's convenient, and there's plenty of bandwidth, and it's a convenient platform. If I'm not mistaken, that's probably why many districts do. But you have certainly no obligation to use or indeed to stream at all.
Right.
And you have no obligation to keep the video up on accessibility. You just keep minutes of your meeting.
Right.
Your legal
Right.
obligations, meetings open to the public in person, and you keep minutes.
Right.
I have a question. What difference would it make whether it's on our webpage or YouTube? It's still the World Wide Web.
You-
Oh, I said it's not really a difference, but what I was looking at is because, we're trying to go back to pre-COVID stuff with the world, and so we didn't do it before. So that's why I asked that. But streaming it live, I think we need to, because we do have some people who may not can get to the meeting, but they can still follow along while it's live.
But I think if we can make that definite determination after we ask technology to look into whether, our current website can actually handle that.
That's what Daniel was saying, that they would have to check.
Right. I was just saying it out loud because they were back there, microphone up here, for them.
So you'll share that with us at the next year.
While we're on location, Neil, I know that our bill has been mounting monthly because of the increase as well. And your company has let us know what we need to do to post it, so to be posted.
Right.
So we won't have to pay your company every month to get it together and send it to us. So,
Post the notices.
right.
Yeah.
So we need to go on and do that as far as our technology is concerned, as far as finances. If we can go on and post it, do whatever posting that you all have instructed us to do.
Yeah.
So we won't have to keep paying for it every month
Yeah,
to be posted.
Right, the notice requirements are there. There's a couple of little quirks, but it's not that complicated. I've given written memo to the administration. I think that's something that probably staff can attend to, and I maybe we'll do the questions and answers over the phone, so we make sure we get it straight. But I agree.
Will you share that with Dr. Williams and Ms. Gupton, so we can
Yes,
go on and do
absolutely.
that, so we won't keep incurring that same.
Sure,
cost.
absolutely. Yeah,
Thank you.
Shouldn't that be the PIO though?
Or whomever. I don't know
mean, that's
who's
what I
doing it,
was,
whomever's doing it.
wouldn't that be the public information?
It will be communications person in
Whomever.
conjunction with
done.
technology. But
Yeah, it's going on the website, so,
we'll take care of it.
thank you.
We'll take-
We got that done. All right. Can we move on to B? Any other questions or comments? All right, 9B. Mr. Williams, I'll come back to you again. We put the awning cover.
Yes, sir. This is in reference to Weigel School, Weldon Elementary Global Academy.
Yes, sir.
For the car riders out there, there's awning right at the top of the hill. However, there's nothing from coming out the cafeteria door to the one at the top of the hill where they catch their vehicles. I just happened to be there the other day and it was raining. I think those students should have some type of coverage between coming out the cafeteria until they get up there to where they catch their ride. I don't know what that would entail or where the funds will come from, but if we're gonna have our students come out there, maybe it's not raining, maybe it's very hot days, whatever the case may be, I think they need some protection from the elements. That's all.
All right, Mr. Williams, I just nodded to Mr. Futrell to come up here since he supervises the maintenance and working with the building and grounds as far as that is concerned. And I think everybody on this board, I don't know if you can see us or not, you may be on the phone, but we will nod our heads to the comment that you just made. So I just asked Mr. Futrell to come up here. So I think it will be just a matter of looking into it, getting some estimates to see how much that will cost, and hopefully they can bring something back to us in our September's meeting, and we can do what we need to do as far as a board to take action.
All right, well, I thank you, sir.
All right.
All
Thank you.
right.
We'll have something for you. Might need a little bit more specific information to make sure it really coincides with what your vision is for, but I do understand exactly what you're talking about. As
Okay, where my only vision is a covering coming from the side door where they come out the cafeteria to meet the car riders or go in the mornings that will go up that ramp up to the where they are picked up.
Okay, all right, we'll get you a quote. Might have to do some design work, of course, the building's a structural consideration. Might be some design work cost involved, but we will get you some quotes and get back with you. I'll work with.
All right, I appreciate it, Mr. Futrell.
Okay.
That's above my pay grade. I can't do nothing with
that. Yeah, thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Chair, could I just say
Yeah,
this?
sure.
I think it was last year, when we first talked about this, we had said that to have it to come that far, but what happened, I don't know, but we didn't talk about that.
I remember it well.
When we first talked about having something for those car riders.
Right.
So I don't know why I wasn't extending it then when it was first done, but we're about to get it now, so.
Well, why it wasn't done is in the past.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
No need of us to explore that conversation as far as that is concerned
I just,
now.
you know, it
But we
was-
did say it.
We did say
Yeah,
that.
we did. Without a doubt, we said it. So we'll look.
Just going to.
Mr. Futrell and Dr. Dave, Mr. Davis. I promoted him. All right. All right, C board retreat. Ms. Hale mentioned that to me. And we had talked about a retreat. Do you all wish to set a date for a retreat this evening? Do you want to look at something in September, October, or last one we did was in September? We did one September of last year.
Are we looking at a Saturday or are we looking?
I don't know what we're looking at.
So that's for the group.
I know it's for the group, but do you have a suggested date? That's what I'm basically saying.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm flexible. I'm just saying if it's in the evening, which I can do evenings, that's fine. But I'm just thinking that out.
Time.
And us being a little.
Y'all want a weekday or do you want a Saturday?
Are we looking at September?
I just called our attention to that because September was the month we had our last one.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason why I said September. We can do whatever we need to do, September, October, or whatever.
Okay, in September, I have no problem if we do it in September, anytime is good with me, except for the 24th.
That's right. I know that.
Yeah, that won't work for me.
Me either.
Yeah, so-
24th won't work. Actually, the 10th or the 24th.
I don't think 10.
I'm busy the
10th and 24th are,
Yeah.
I can't do.
Well, the 17th is homecoming.
We can't do that, so we're into October.
So we go to October.
Right, Mr. Lynch?
Homecoming,
Yes, 17, September 17.
Okay.
okay.
I can do October 1st.
I'm going to. What day?
I can't do the 15th.
I think we need it sooner than later. I do too. I saw.
So we're saying October 1st is what we're trying to.
Can we do a Sunday?
I prefer not.
Okay,
Sunday's not good for me.
okay. I'll stick after church.
So what day is
I
it?
would do-
Sooner than later.
I would do it if we needed to, as long as it was kind of.
God loves the children.
I do. So are we saying October the 1st?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, are you good for October 1st? Ms. Jenkins?
No.
What day of the week is that? Ms.
October the 1st is on a Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that'd be okay.
So what time is it gonna be?
How much time are we looking at?
We need to at least hear from our superintendent and our department chairs of their plans for the first 60 to 90 days. Is that what you
We will
think?
be beyond 60.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I
90.
want to have it
90.
earlier.
That's why we need to have it in September.
Yeah, for real. I mean, for real. We had a, I don't know.
So you wanna do an evening then?
I will. Things have to change.
We're going back to September.
So we going back to
September.
September, is what you said?
What day is best?
Based on what?
Ms. Jenkins, what day is better for you? Thursdays?
What's the date on that? What are you talking about?
We're looking at September now.
September.
Yeah.
Thursday.
With 15th and 4th.
15th, we're gonna be in
Okay, we're looking at September, right?
September. 15th is gonna be- we're looking at the 1st or the 22nd.
22nd, I'm on my family vacation.
So that's September 1st.
That's what I was gonna say.
September 1st. You said as soon as possible. What time?
Mr. Williams, are you good for September the 1st, Thursday, September 1st?
I'm good.
Is that the date y'all want? What time?
I mean, it's all right, we do.
People at work.
Just, at- December 20th.
Just tell Ms. Bird, what time?
4 o'clock?
Is everybody going, I mean, y'all, we don't no, we dancing around it. Come on, y'all. I mean,
so we
it's
just-
Time is
September,
good with me.
September 1st,
September 4th.
4 o'clock, but can everybody be here at 4 o'clock?
I won't be here. I can join on the phone, but this is,
Bless you.
game season, so. We have things to be ready. But I will join, I will join until I get here. I won't be here. Be able to be here. for the
5:30.
call. I can do that.
If she gonna join via the phone, now, we can't do all that.
Yeah, I'm good. I feel it.
We're at 8 o'clock right now, 4 hours.
Yeah, if y'all talking about 4 hours, when we say 5:30, that's
Yeah,
9:30, and we ain't gonna start at 5:30.
Where are we talking about having it?
That's another thing we got to decide.
You have
That's
to,
how they deal, or we had.
The
wanna have it
Hilton,
deal
we were at the chamber last, did we have it at the chamber?
last time.
For the visitor center now. Doesn't matter.
The last one we had was at Halifax Community College. Last September was at
Yeah, last
HCC.
September we were there. And we were
December
401.
I met when I had not known that.
Right.
At the
Last-
chamber building,
Right, last September we were at 401B.
right.
But that was a Saturday.
Right. That
So
was
it's a
on
weekday,
Saturday.
we can be here or we can be, it's fine with me.
Where we going? Here? You said
I'm
here?
fine with the person.
That what you saying here?
Can we move on and come back to this, like we do our other meetings? Because we know we're not time, wasting time.
We just need to decide. Cause when we come back, we still gonna have to take the time. Are we
So
going
September 1st at 4:00.
September 1st, 4 o'clock? And are we gonna be here at the chamber building?
Weldon High School.
All right, done. That's board retreat, September 1st, 4 o'clock. Weldon High School. Somewhere in Weldon High School. I'll say that. Okay. All right. 9D. That's all. Already talked briefly about that. Ms. Hale wanted to add it to the agenda, so Ms. Hale,
Well,
have any other?
Basically, no, all my questions were answered, and I was just concerned mainly about, I know Officer Bond is the only officer that we do have. We do have one vacant position, and they're working on this school safety grant. So more people who come from that and or increase in pay. So basically, I got my questions answered.
Okay.
My concern was about the SROs being at each school, because I know last month we did approve one for down at elementary school as well.
Right.
So, and I know that there's not, the one that usually be at the middle school is not there. I don't see him at least. And so I found out tonight he's patrolling all of the schools right now, so. My questions were answered, but I think that we need to hurry up and get one president in all these schools.
All right. Any other comment or question or? All right, moving on to 9E. Where's the bus app?
Yes.
I think Mr. Freya. We'll have to have you to come back.
Yes.
Where are we with, where's the bus app?
Yeah, so I spoke with Mr. Freeman, ongoing with that. I believe there was some contract negotiations that I think even the attorney may have been privy to between executing. But that was my understanding that there are some contract negotiations still happening between that. There was some discrepancy between what we submitted, what we sent, and then the company returned back and said that was not the actual amount. Is that what you're aware of too?
Right now, Attorney Malone was looking at that as of yesterday because, not yesterday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because the contract said $4,100 or something, and it came back $5,100. They added $1,000 to it, and it looked like they copied and pasted it, signatures and stuff in it, which is not legit. So Malone was dealing with that to correct that.
41,000 or 4,100?
There was a discrepancy.
Okay.
For either way, what we submitted, and they came back and said, no, that's not what we agreed upon, even though that was their, is my understanding.
Yeah, and it's very clear that what they sent for the new pay was copied and pasted in. like your signature and all was copied and pasted on this new document, which, is not, that's not legit. So we call them on the carpet.
Now, we had a previous company that we were dealing with, and back in February, March, and then our attorneys got involved, and they didn't like that company because something was going on with the state with some other LEAs, and so they brought in this new company, and I attended with Mr. Freeman the virtual background on whatever it was on the app, and I thought everything was straight because we just voted on in the spring the new contract.
We did.
And it was 41,000, I do believe, $41,000.
And it could be a long day.
Right.
Hundreds and thousands probably.
It's like, I
Whatever
think
it
it's
is,
10,000, it was like 51 is what it came back with.
It was a major discrepancy. And they copied and pasted signatures on the new amount, which is, you could tell was.
Well, we need to look into that.
Malone is handling it. We just waiting on them to get back to us.
Okay.
But we do know that when we do get that straight, we talk about implementation, right? So we don't want to have to wait for discuss plans for implementation once we know that is going to get settled. So we had considered, even though we're a small district, starting with the initial pilot school, roll out, work out the kinks, making sure it's running smoothly before we open it up to the entire district. It's best to, work out those kinks at one school, find out what works well, what doesn't work well, so we can then replicate those practices to all schools as part of our implementation rollout. And so we'll be identifying first that school, we kind of floated around from schools, but we haven't talked to principals yet, so I want to say, but there are some schools that already have some solid processes in place, we think, that supports when it comes to transportation. And so we want to kind of reach out to that, maybe it's been a pilot school before we roll out, but we just have been thinking about implementation, even though we know that's a contract issue going on. Sure. Okay.
So we have stuff already. We don't have anything already. We don't have anything, any of the equipment or anything yet.
It's not to my understanding, because the contract purpose would allow you to purchase the equipment.
Mr. Sykes.
Yes, sir.
Taking the fact that there was some discrepancy in there, and I know Attorney Malone is trying to work out the kinks, but I don't know what he would do. I think it needs to come back to the board before we just rubber stamp or give Attorney Malone okay to go along with that process. I'm kind of skeptical of a company that would do something like that.
Right.
I'm very skeptical of them. So I think before he goes into any kind of agreement with them, it should come back to the board for us to take a look at it.
And what I'll do, Mr. Williams, to your point, again, I don't know if you can see it, but everybody in here is kind of shaking their head and in agreement with that. And I do as well, because I know what I signed. It was $40,000 and some odd dollars, or 41,000. Whatever it was, I know it was in the low 40s that we approved, and if need be, what we can do tomorrow, Dr. Williams and myself, we can have a conversation with Attorney Malone to see where he is with that, and between the two of us and Attorney Raymond, we'll make sure that's communicated to him, the board's desire, before we move forward with anything, that it comes back to us for, final approval or whatever, or we can say because of the discrepancy, and I didn't sign anything that said $50,000. I know that.
It was copied and pasted.
Right.
It's very clear, it was copied and pasted.
But we need to know the reason for the increase.
Right.
If it's a legitimate reason, we need to know.
Yeah, they said it was a discrepancy on their behalf.
Oh, okay.
They made an error, so they corrected it, but they used the old signatures to switch up to the new.
That's not business.
No, that's not a problem. That's not using whiteout on a document. That's not professional at all.
It's not, it's illegal.
Right.
The problem is, owner, that's probably the name, but they're probably the actual vendor.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Board member, that's where you are. Can you scroll that up? Well, let me. This is the original. Can y'all see that?
Okay.
I hate to even have to get up and show it to
Tell us what
you,
it says.
but I'm saying this is the original page.
Okay.
That's the copy page.
You can tell it.
Yeah, you can tell it. It's
And
like
they scanned
somebody
it in.
scanned it, or because you can see part of a desk or
I'm
something
scared of
like
that
that.
company. Related,
I'll
somebody
let Ron know
related,
that- You see
special.
that, Ms. Jean? I'll just let
That's the
Ron know.
original page, and
Of
that's
course, I just
top of the copy page.
We'll be sure to bring it back.
And if it happened, you need to let us know.
Right.
Ahead of time before you send it back, make us think we crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
definitely
remember
something that was
41.
photocopied.
I know I remember 41.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll make sure we communicate that. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, and we need to move on to these the contracts real quick, and board members, if you all would indulge us. We added the field trip, but Mr. Pullen and Coach Lynch is here. Before we start talking about these others, if we can go ahead on and hear from them real quick, so we won't hold up any more of their time. So whichever one wants to come first. All right, Mr. Pullen is gonna come. You do have a field trip in your packet, but he's going to share some brief information with us.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Robinson, and other board members. Dr. Williams, like I said, we're off to a really great start, in my opinion. Been here for a little while, really enjoying working with Dr. Williams. I think we're on a good path. I feel better about this school year than any school year that I've been here. I feel like been here this is my 7th year, so that's says something. So, I appreciate y'all giving me time to come and talk about the trip. We have proposed taking 40 of our kids down to Atlanta for a couple of days. It corresponds with the college's fall break, and that's why we're trying to get it in here in time for the 60-day policy. So they won't be missing college class except for one day on the 3-day trip. So then we're kind of limiting how much of that time they're missing. The trip, it is expensive. I know you're looking at that, but that's a concern. However, it's completely all inclusive. All the children's food, the transportation, hotels, everything is included.
No, we just have the actual request. Give us the numbers.
The total is $31,080.
$31,080.
I mean, pass that around to you. And it'll be using my carryover Title I funds is what I propose to use for it. We had $67,000 of carryover money from last year's allotment that I was planning on using this up. Yeah, it's an expensive trip, but like I said, it's everything included. So financial issues, financial concerns for our household are not a barrier to this trip. The only thing the kids would have to spend is souvenir money if they wanted to buy a t-shirt or something while they were there. The trip is focused on African American history. We were going to the National Civil and Human Rights Center, which I went to back in June. It was absolutely amazing. Brought me to tears just to see some of the things that were in that particular museum. Very, very, very powerful. They have a replica of the lunch counter that the sit-ins would happen at. And you put in earbuds and you listen to the vile hate that the world produces, and these people heard and went through sitting there. And see how long you can sit there and listen to it. And it was just I mean, it brought me to tears. The idea here is that we'll also be hitting the Martin Luther King Center, Ebenezer Baptist Church, towards Sweet Auburn Avenue, as well as the Jimmy Carter Center, and a few other things down there. One of the big things for me is to create these cultural experiences that our kids don't get to get otherwise. And so while I know it's steep, we've got the money there, and we still have money. We have a lot of money allotted with the new Title I status to pay for those textbooks, pay for a second math teacher, to pay for a construction coach. All those things are still there. We haven't booted anything. We're just using that carryover funds to pay for this trip. We also have money for college visits, so this isn't gonna eat that up, so we're still gonna have money to do college visits.
So is it just one part to?
We're gonna pass it
Because
down. It's a whole package.
No, I'm just saying the field trip, because I know we had one that we previously used, and it was more detailed, because this one didn't tell you where you're going.
It's right there.
We didn't get the whole package.
No, pass it
I
around.
submitted the whole package.
Yeah.
But there's just a copy.
Oh, this is it right
I
here.
have a
This-
question. Are you touring any colleges while you're there?
We're not, but I can probably add one if that's a request.
We would love for you to take them to Morehouse or Clark Atlanta. If you're going to Atlanta, they gotta go.
Now, on the first day when we go down to touring downtown Atlanta, I can work with our tour company to make sure we hit those places.
So you just do a driving tour.
Well,
so they can see it.
I'd like them to get out, especially, get out, walk around and see it. I have no objections to adding that to the agenda. I don't see that that would be an issue for them. They have us touring downtown Atlanta anyway on the first day, so adding those items in wouldn't be an issue.
So you need more chaperones?
Right now, we're good, but if we need one, I'll let you know.
Because I see you have 1, 2, 3, 4 up here.
Yes, ma'am.
And you
I'll be
have,
there the week before.
you have four double,
Yes, ma'am.
and but then you have complimentary doubles. You got 4 of them.
That was the chaperones, they charged us for it, and then, so they show up twice. They show up as, they bill you for it and they
Okay.
credit
They give
you.
it to you. So it's only still 4 chaperones.
Right, 4 chaperones are attending, and,
Can I have that? That, the single page that you had.
In your left hand. Just tell me what.
And food.
food is completely
I know it's
included.
included, but
They'll actually give them money they'll send us cash to give them to eat on the way down there, give them cash to eat on the way back, give them a meal voucher for one of the nights, that pays for the meal already at the one restaurant, the tea room, that's already paid for in the package. Like I said, it's just everything's included.
Are you giving them an etiquette class before you take them to the tea room?
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
We have some etiquette discussions on the bus on the way down there.
okay. I mean,
You need
etiquette,
practice.
which fork, which
Yeah,
spoon, which
that's-
knife, which glass.
Is that something he can work out with Ms. B?
Yeah,
Most definitely, that's a good idea. So we can schedule that. I'll give Mr. Richardson and get a time for it.
They may need to
And how
come
they,
here.
and how they dress as well.
Right.
Because the tea room has some dress.
My knowledge is there's no dress requirements for this
Okay.
particular one,
Okay.
but I'll double check.
Please double check.
But I think this is a wonderful experience for our students, culturally relevant, and of course, adding those college visits while they're there. I think it's a win-win.
I'll send an email now before I leave to get those college tours added to the tour that.
Get a chance
Money
to
worth
ESPN
spending.
building be nice, so they can see that as well.
What did you say?
ESPN,
Oh, yeah.
they would love that.
Yeah,
Money definitely work, our students deserve that. I never did.
She said she never did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
any other questions for me?
Mr. Williams, you have any questions for Mr. Fuller?
No, sir. Do we need a motion?
We're gonna get all of that with the consent agenda, so we can get it
Okay,
all
good
in
enough.
one.
No questions.
All right.
Well, thank y'all very much
Thank
for your
you.
support, and I will add the things that y'all want to get added, and we'll go from there. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Lynch.
Good evening again. I believe the items that I had here that I want to speak with you all about, I believe we talked about earlier today. They all were previously approved at the finance meeting. And I will just be getting any documents or requisitions that need to be given me to the end off to Mr. Futrell. But if you have any questions about any of the items, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
And though, just for correction, or not correction, clarification, the quotes for the athletic department, that was the lighting, right? Well, give them to me real quick, Mr. Futrell.
Lighting.
Lighting,
Hydration.
and the high jump,
High jump and mat. Right.
Those are the three athletic quotes. I'm just going over it real quick, so.
We don't
Just
have
one
the
more.
lighting for tonight, do we?
It's not the lighting.
The
Okay,
lighting is
okay.
not tonight.
It's the
Just the
custom,
high.
customized training, the hurdles, the power drinker, and the high jump.
Okay, all right. I want to put them lights in there so bad, don't. Okay. Any questions with those quotes? They were in our packet.
Yes, Mr. Sykes.
Yes, sir.
I don't have that before me, but how many have drinking mechanics did he have? The hydration.
One,
It was one.
yes,
And it's only does 7?
yes, only 7.
Okay, I would recommend 2.
Yeah.
Because you have a timeout, those guys come on, you only have a minute.
Right.
And one trying to wait for one to start to get in. I think that's not going to be an adequate supply. I think you need 2.
Yeah.
That's what we had previously approved.
I think so.
Now the quote reflects one.
So,
Yes,
So
two.
it should take it up to 28.30 and 2 cents. Yes, $2,800.
We'll work with, I mean, it's under the.
thread,
10,000.
right. But just so we're clear, when we're actually voting on the consent agenda, we understand that we only have one within the contract with us tonight. So we are saying get 2,
Correct.
just so we're clear.
So
That's correct.
one is approved on the consent agenda. The board's also giving direction to ask the administration.
To
bring
To
back
purchase the second.
It purchase second. bring it back.
Go ahead on and purchase the second.
Oh, just to go ahead. and-
Yes, purchase both of them.
All of it.
ASAP.
That's not, the consent item only has one though, so that would be an amendment to the consent agenda, I suppose. Or you could take separate action, and I suggest just for clarity.
Yeah, we take separate
It's a
action.
separate action to authorize purchase of one additional.
Right. We'll take separate action. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Question.
Yes.
I know that you had come before us, several months back, and last month too, I believe. Some positions that you needed to add.
Yes,
Have you provided that documentation to whoever? Is that,
yes, I provided to the principals, Mr. Futrell. I have gotten the verbal agreement back on the individuals, but I'm waiting to get
okay,
on the 2 that I submitted just for fall. I only submitted the 2 coaches for fall sports. That position would be for an assistant football coach and a strength trainer.
okay.
Okay.
So whenever you, if you have to hire some more coaches for the spring, then if we can get that early too. If we can get that early so that we won't be in the situation that
I
we're in.
plan on submitting those for the winter next month and for spring, at least by January.
If you can get it sooner.
I would.
Any other questions concerning the athletic quote? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
Coach
you.
Lynn, appreciate that.
Thank you all again.
Thank you.
All right. And we're moving on to we can get the Decatur blended services. That contract, any questions on that? I didn't even. James, you got any questions on that?
Shit, I forgot.
We good?
Yeah, I got the information.
All right. So moving on to occupational therapy plus We good? All right. Visual impaired?
Yes.
We good?
Searched it.
All right. Triangle speech therapy, any discussion?
No.
We good? All right. Any other discussion? Technology, spring policy updates, the compensation?
For technology, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because I know that was, getting laptops is something that we had talked about. Do we have any information on that perspective? Board.
For the board, we have them in front of you.
These are the new ones. Is that what you're saying? I didn't realize this.
These are new. We take them with us today. Oh, really?
Just for you.
Well, we don't have the power cords, we just charge them up.
Okay.
Okay.
But these are going to be issued to us, to our care with the power cord, and we have to turn them back in the end of the school year, right? All right.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Got it. Dr. Williams is teasing us. He said, our school year doesn't end. We 12 months around, 12 months around.
Yeah. It's something that we don't usually do, but it's something we need to start doing that they mentioned in the summer retreat. When we get the policy updates, we need to look at them in regards to our personal policy updates to see if it conflicts with what we already have. And if that's something that our new PIO with Mr. Steph can look at for us and present to us if there are some conflicts with what we already have in policy and what the state is presenting. So, and you know, if that's possible.
Sure.
Because a whole list of them that we get every so often, if that's okay.
I agree that it needs to be looked at, but I think that's part of what we pay our attorneys to do. Because they when they come to.
Well, we don't second guess the School Boards Association, we don't routinely review all the policies or just offer opinions on it. But if anytime you have questions or wishes to review them, we can, that'd be an additional.
I know they told us at the school board meeting that we're supposed to be looking at them.
Yeah.
Because they come up at the,
Right.
in other board meetings of other school LEAs, and there are some conflicts sometimes.
Right, you're exactly right. If you made adjustments, if you adopt their entire manual without any changes ever, you should be fine. But if you make changes and have locally adopted policies, someone should be taking a look to see if everything jives. Typically, the districts I work with, staff will do a review and bring the lawyers in for questions. We can do more if you'd like, it to be more of an expense. There's a lot of policy updates, but very often they're just change the legal citations, change, and the School Boards Association, they have a team of lawyers that work on the policy.
Right.
So I don't think it's necessarily an efficient use of our time and your money for us to sort of routinely look over everything. But I do think it's a good idea for some designated staff person to take a look, compare things, and then call it a question.
And I'll say this, when I was saying lawyers, because I know Tharrington and Smith represents the School Board Association. And
we don't draft their policies.
Right. I know you don't, but I was just thinking, I guess with Tharrington and Smith representing us and representing the School Board Association, those general policies, they're basically the same across the state, with the exception to some local things, that we may have within our policy.
The point is if you've adopted your own policies, you need to make sure the school boards aren't in conflict.
Right. So yeah, I guess we'll have to look at them when they come, make sure that it doesn't conflict. All right. Anything else with the consent agenda? Yes.
Anything about the proposal for the server equipment?
I asked if we have any questions about that. I didn't have any, but you're welcome to come and share with us real quick.
I reviewed it.
Yeah, I looked at it.
Okay.
Oh,
not yet, but
we haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay.
We haven't done it yet.
Okay.
We We're gonna try to get you what you need in just a few moments. Yeah. Anybody have any questions with the technology equipment proposal? Everybody's looked through that. Any other questions with anything on the consent agenda? The progressive design.
I think Mr. Davis explained that.
Yeah, I'm just calling it out. That's the last one. All right, and of course, this is the change order for the HVAC and all of that we gotta do in the roofs.
Right.
So that's just making sure we with that. Anything else? Consent agenda. Hearing none. Motion is in order to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we'll approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Bird Robinson and seconded by Ms. Hale that we approve our consent agenda. You've heard that motion. Any further discussion on readiness? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, would you let it be known by your voting sign? Ms. Jenkins, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Bird Robinson,
Aye.
Ms. Hale, Ms. Harrison,
Yes.
Ms. K. Robinson, and Sykes, aye. Let the record reflect unanimous approval of our consent agenda by 7 board members present. Now we need another motion to approve the purchase of the additional hydrating system.
So
Make
moved.
a second.
It's been motioned by Ms. K. Robinson and seconded by Ms. Bird Robinson that we approve the purchase of the additional hydrating system for our athletic department with our student athletes. You heard that motion. Any further discussion on readiness? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, let it be known by your voice vote. O.D. Sykes, aye. Ms. K. Robinson,
Aye.
Ms. Harrison,
Yes.
Ms. Hale, Ms. Bird Robinson, Ms. Jenkins, Mr. Williams.
Yes.
All right, let the record reflect unanimous approval of the additional purchase of a second hydrating system. Thank you so much. All right, Ms. Gupta,
Yeah.
you got that memo?
Yeah.
It was just approved. It was just approved for the technology equipment proposal. All right, thank you so much. At this time, 10C, we are supposed to go back into closed session. So at this time, we will ask everybody to be excused except for our board members, our superintendent, and our board attorney. Our meeting is not over. We're going to come back into open session, just letting you know you do not have to leave. You just have to excuse yourself at this moment. If you choose to leave, that is totally up to you, but we will be coming back into open session after we finish up with this brief closed session and close our meeting. Thank you so much. We need a motion at this time to go back into
recess. Chair can just declare that you'll be back in the session.
All right, well, we're going back into closed session at this time.